Welcome, everybody, to another wonderful, infotaining, agitating edition of We All Be News-Free Dixie for the 21st century. I'm your host for this empowerment segment, Brother Ron, also known as R2C2H2, the artivist. And we're here to bring the people, give the people what they want. Yeah, so got a lot on my mind. I hope y'all can hear me loud and clear. I'm going to check my volume and my image, because you know how it goes. You know, they always running interference on the message, but it gets to the people's one way or the other. And I'm thankful. I didn't know people was listening like that. If you go by my numbers and likes, you think nobody was listening to what Brother Ron been putting out over here on We All Be News-Free Dixie for the 21st century. You dig it? I can dig it if you can dig it. And if you don't dig it, I don't really care, you know, because I'm doing me. Let me see. I'm just checking. Check the volume. Dig it? I can dig it. You can dig it. Yeah. Good looking guy. With or without a beard. So, yeah. So, I got a lot on my mind. April 12th is an interesting day. Day in history. April 12th, as you all should know, this is the 160th anniversary of the start of the American Civil War. The war between the states, the war of northern aggression, whatever you want to call it. Some people think it was fought over slavery. Some people think it was fought over something else. Everybody got an opinion. But it happened 160 years ago. It kicked off at Fort Sumter down in Charleston Harbor in South Carolina. South Carolina was one of the original 13 colonies. Also, it was an important harbor because most of our people that came on the boats came through there. I ain't gonna say most, but a lot of them, a significant amount of our people. I don't know. I know people say we're Aboriginal. Black folks are indigenous to the planet. So we are the original people. So we everywhere. We all be everywhere, child. We all be everywhere. Even Columbus knew we was everywhere. Everywhere he go, he saw some Negroes. Every little place he went, he saw some Negroes or indigenous Aboriginals. Yeah, smoke weed every day. I don't smoke weed every day. But Nate Dogg was from Clarksdale, Mississippi. So I'm in the Mississippi Delta right now. And Clarksdale is located in Mississippi in the Delta. Also, Ricky Rose, he's from Clarksdale. Sam Cooke, John Lee Hooker. You see how it works. So, yeah. So also April 12th is the anniversary of the suspect death of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd president of the United States. He was dead down there in Georgia. Georgia, the whole whatever you want to say. Georgia's a big South, I'm convinced. But they found him dead, allegedly down in Warm Springs, allegedly of natural causes. But there's other stories that he might have been murked, that they murked Roosevelt for whatever reason, that he was murdered. Murder, she wrote. No, actually, it was a woman painting his picture. his portrait when he allegedly died. No, it's a lot of different. Y'all just Google that up about, you know, the conspiracies around how Franklin Roosevelt died. You know, he was a target of alleged several hits on his life, including the one down in Miami. They took out the mayor of Chicago, Anton Cermak. Now, people believe that actually that Anton Cermak was the target and not Franklin Roosevelt, because Anton Cermak wanted to be control of the mob in Chicago. Chicago, that toddling town. Allegedly, he sent some cops to rub out Frank Nitti, who took over for Al Capone over the Chicago outfit, and then they returned the favor. You know what I'm saying? Karma is a, you know what, you know, so Anton Cermak was next to Roosevelt down there in Miami, and allegedly an Italian immigrant named Giuseppe Zangara shot at, you know, allegedly tried to kill Franklin Roosevelt, but ended up killing Anton Cermak, the mayor of Chicago. But that's April 12th, powerful day in history, right? April 12th. Start of the Civil War. But also what we're talking about tonight, we're going to be talking about the Fort Pillow Massacre that happened April 12th, 1864, where you had close to 300 U.S. colored troops, that's black folks, black women and children, along with some white soldiers, were massacred at Fort Pillow in, I guess, Henning, Tennessee, Fort Pillow, Tennessee, whatever you want to call it. That is the childhood home of the, you know, Alex Haley, the one who didn't write The Roots or the autobiography for Malcolm X, which was actually written by his editor at Playboy, from my understanding. I don't know. You know, he talked about Dick Gregory, but also, you know, he took the story of Kunta Kinte from this book called The African that was written by this white dude named Dr. Harold Corlander that came out, I believe, back in 1967. And they took him to court and they won. Alex people had to pay off Dr. Harold Corlander for a nice little settlement. And y'all go take a look. It's all online. Go online and look this stuff up. You know, Bobby D. Gregory talked about it. You know, and people get mad at Bob. Bob tell him what he told, man. The paper trail is out there. It's on the internet, you know, that Alex Haley had to pay him off. Because think about it. When Alex Haley died, from my understanding, he owed some debt. If you wrote some of the best-selling books, if you wrote two of the best-selling influential books of all time, why are you in debt? It's kind of like J.K. Rowling, who wrote Harry Potter, and she's a billionaire, right? So why would she die in debt if she wrote Harry Potter? So why was Alex Haley having debt problems, from my understanding? Now, my mom, she's beautiful. She's a thumbnail pic with me. Sister Callie Hurd. I mean, she's you know, if you have benefited from any of my God work, you could thank that black woman who raised me, Sister Callie Hurd, because she's very passionate about education, about serving our people, volunteer extraordinaire. She actually organized the volunteers for Alex Haley's homegoing when he passed away. My mama was in charge of that. And she was the one who used to take me to the National Civil Rights Museum when it first opened, to volunteer as a tour guide. She's also the reason why We All Be Group Incorporated got so involved with the Fort Pillow Massacre commemoration that we started doing back in 2016. We actually raised money, thousands of dollars from the community, to put up a historic marker in front of the Memphis National Cemetery, where the victims of the Fort Pillow Massacre are buried in graves there. Their bodies were moved to Memphis National Cemetery, I believe, back in 1867. So you got a lot of the victims. And some that, you know, when they dug them up from Fort Pillow, they were, they was in the pit in Fort Pillow. They dug them up, and they had the coffins marked with the names of the people, I believe, man. While they were transporting the bodies to Memphis, a thunderstorm came and washed the chalk off the coffin, so they didn't know who the hell were in these coffins. And like I said, it's women and children that were massacred as well. So you had, then you go to the Memphis National Cemetery, then they got 109 plots for like almost 300 people dead. So you can imagine that some of those plots contain several different body parts from several different human beings. But, you know, doing this work is amazing. It's a blessing from the righteous ancestors. If we don't tell their stories, the ancestors get no glory. So this is what we do at We All Be, and I pride myself on that, because you look at now what's going on with these so-called woke activists, woke activism, woke capitalism is catching up now. The ancestors don't like to be taken advantage of, and these people are being exposed. These people are being exposed, but We All Be, we've been grinding. April is the 15th anniversary of We All Be, this movement that started as a blog, ended up becoming a podcast. We did a lot of stuff. Now we're a movement. We're a full-fledged movement, and we want to encourage people just to be you. No, don't follow us. Follow you. You are the leader of you. You know, like I started playing my trumpet, right? And people I saw on the video I did with Judge Brown, people say, "Oh, you improved." No, I don't care about what y'all think about my trumpet playing, man. Y'all just don't get it because this is National Jazz Appreciation Month. I'm trying to get in tune with myself. I'm getting in tune with myself. I'm learning. I'm finally appreciating me at 40 years old. I'm finally appreciating my body, appreciating me and what I bring to the table. It's not about impressing you all, because if you be who you are, you can attract people that will be impressed by you. So I'm just being me. Like the things I do on this channel and what I do in life, I'm just being me. Life is performance art. You know, I love, like when we first did the first Fort Pillow reflame ceremony back in 2016, we was actually in the wrong spot in the cemetery. We thought we was in the right spot with the victims. Our ancestors were buried because they never got a proper burial. They never got a burial with honor, with people like flag, you know, all that stuff. So we did that grassroots. My organization, the We All Be Group Incorporated, along with A.L.L, Memphis chapter, Dr. Carter G. Wilson's Association, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. As y'all know, Dr. Carter G. Wilson is the father of Black History Week, or Negro History Week, which is now known as Black History Month. Second Black person to get a PhD from Harvard University, behind Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, or Du Bois, or Du Bois, whatever you want to call him. So we were in the wrong part of the cemetery, right? And we didn't know that at the time. We just doing it in the spirit of the ancestors. It's back in 2016. That video is located in our archives here on We All Be TV. So, you know, we, you know, in future programs, we got, you know, a Marine to play taps. But, you know, since I had trumpet, we know everything was impromptu, because what happened, what inspired us was that we went to Fort Pillow Park, where the massacre took place, where the Fort Pillow, you know, was actually located, and where the massacre took place, where the Mississippi River ran red with blood from all them Black soldiers massacred, and women and children, because we got primary sources from both sides saying there were women and children that were killed at Fort Pillow. You had the babies get their heads bashed in by Confederate forces led by Nathan Bedford Forrest, General Nathan Bedford Forrest. We're going to talk about him tonight because, you know, he was one of the biggest slave traders and slavers in the whole country. He became a multimillionaire by peddling Black flesh, because Black flesh matters. Black slaves matter, right? So he, you know, his thing was he was located in Memphis, but and also he's the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. That General Nathan Bedford Forrest. Now you look at the movie Forrest Gump. In Forrest Gump, I'm named after my cousin Forrest. He was a war hero. He'll talk about General Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was a big time hero down in Alabama. Because y'all do realize that the first capital of the Confederacy was down there in Montgomery, where the Montgomery bus boycott started. You know, Dr. King Church, Dexter Avenue Baptist Church, is located right up the street from the Capitol. Because I used to wonder why they never try to bomb or destroy their church. It's right up the street from the Capitol. It's literally right up the street from the Capitol. Jefferson Davis, the president of the Confederacy, was sworn in at that place. You know, they played Dixie. I wish I was in Dixie. Hooray, hooray. Now, there's several authors to Dixie, but it's one of them. This guy named Herman Frank Arnold, who's actually buried in Memphis at Elmwood Cemetery. That's the oldest cemetery in Memphis. That's also where my hero, you know, Jimmy Lunsford, is buried in Elmwood Cemetery. So it's interesting to have the composer, one of the composers, authors of Dixie, buried not that far away from the father of jazz music education in formal educational settings. Like Jimmy Lunsford is credited with teaching the first jazz studies program in a formal institution or educational setting. That's Jimmy Lunsford. He's buried there, not that far away. The dude who helped write Dixie, and actually Herman Frank Arnold played Dixie for Jefferson Davis down there when he was sworn in. So there's a little bit of history. Like, I'm not getting this. This is why we got to talk about this, because April is like a unofficial white supremacy month. You know that Adolf Hitler was born April 20th, I believe, 1889. Like I was just talking about, you know, Franklin Roosevelt was sacrificed April 12th, 1945, down in Georgia. You also have April 12th, 1861, the start of the American Civil War. Also April 12th, 1864. We're talking about the Fort Pillow massacre. So yeah. So when I do my thing, like with my trumpet, man, that's for me. I'm an artist, man. I'm a creator. Like, I mean, people used to make fun of me when I was doing art in high school, I was not the best artist in my class. Like everybody got those stories. Like you read Miles Davis' autobiography, he talked about a dude that was a hell of a trumpet player, but he went insane. You know, he checked out and then checked into a mental institution. But he said that was the best. A lot of my peers in my group, man, phenomenal artists, gifted, you know, but they, you know, it ain't about who the best is. It's life is a marathon. It's like, can you last? Can you endure? Can you take it? Can you do what it takes to get to the next level? So, like, you know, they used to laugh at me. Like, I never think I've been drawing since I was 2 years old, actually, because I had a real bad speech impediment. I had to go to speech therapy for years, you know, which is interesting. I talk so much now, but I used to have to go to speech therapy for years. And I had to, my mom, thank my mom for whatever you get for my benefit of me just making a fool of myself for the people. Thank my mom for that, because she took me to speech therapy for a number of years in my early years, formal education years, you know, and also she saw my talent. I've been drawing since I was 2 years old. I never drew no stick people. I some grown up bullshit. I never saw, you know, sticks. I just saw people. I used to draw like Ghostbusters and He-Man and all that other stuff. But she checked me into, I went to public school. I'm a product of public schools, right? So I've been going to this special program for gifted students called Kappa, Creative and Performing Arts Program, part of the, what they was then known as the Memphis City Schools, now it's Shelby County Schools. But I went to Colonial, then I went to Overton. It was interesting. Like, you know, I went to school, you know, Brandy Evans, shout out to Brandy Evans. She's getting all these nominations for her role as Mercedes in P Valley. That was a classmate. I've been knowing Brandy since junior high school. And she's aging like fine wine. Yes, and she's looking good. Still look good. I had a crush on Brandy, but I knew her since junior high. And she was in creative writing classes, as well as doing dancing and, you know, all that cheerleading and doing dance stuff. So it always been a passion of hers, dancing. And I look forward to actually seeing her do some projects where they feature her writing, like screenwriting or something like that. I'm sure she got several stories inside of her to tell the people. But I also went to school with K. Michelle, but she was like I was an upperclassman. I didn't know K. Michelle like that. But we're in the same yearbook. My senior yearbook, she's in my yearbook. I think she was a freshman or a sophomore at that time, because she's always changing her age and all that. Yeah, that K. Michelle. So I went to like Tupac and Jada Pinkett. They went to that school for performing arts in Baltimore. We had the same setup, like Fame, I'm Gonna Live Forever. So I went to Overton High School in Memphis. And like I said, you know, I had talent, but I was not the best artist, you know, at the beginning of my high school sojourn. But by the end, my senior year, I got more scholarships than anybody. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got more scholarships than the valedictorian and the salutatorian. I got more scholarships than anybody in my art class, my peer group. So, you know, funny how things work, but like I always believed in myself, and I always, you know what? It takes stages, not always believe myself, but my junior year, I started busting through with my own style. Like what you see now, that's my style. Like people say, like, you know, I remember when I was in college, you used to call me Mr. Unteachable, the teachers, because they said, well, how you come up with your style? How you already have your signature style? See, it's not about like being like Michelangelo, Picasso. The same issues that Leonardo, Michelangelo, Picasso, Raphael, Jacob Lawrence had to deal with is the same ones that all artists have to deal with. You know, the thing about it's not about solving the problem. It's about how can I get around, over, under. Sometimes you gotta go through the problem. You gotta go through stuff to have a story to tell. So that I'm trying to tell people, it's not about pleasing people all the time. It's about sharing who you are with the people. And if they do embrace it, that's fine. If they don't embrace it, that's fine too. You got to love yourself. You got to embrace yourself. You got to have enough courage and confidence in who you are to do it. So like, okay, getting back to the first reflaying ceremony, right? I played taps. I stuttered and stammered. You know, I didn't get it all the way out. I was nervous, you know, saying all that. I came through with it. You know, whatever it was, it is what it is. I did not try to edit to make myself look good. I just kept it as it is. And that's the thing about it, is you got to be put in uncomfortable situations in order to find your true genius and your calling. I remember I talked to the late, great Reverend C.T. Vivian. He told me about John Lewis. You know, John Lewis came to prominence during the 60s. He was on the first, like, he wasn't the first chairman of the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. I think I want to say maybe he was the third. He was because Marion Barry. Yeah, that Marion Barry was the first chairman of SNCC. And He said, no, John Lewis had a speech problem. John Lewis wanted to be a minister. Now he was going to school in Nashville to become a minister. He met a lot of the movement people in Nashville. But when they're doing their movement in Nashville, Reverend C.T. Vivian will tell me that, hey, we should put John as our spokesperson, because we knew he had, issues with speech and he had stage fright. But he said, in order to find your greatness, you got to be put in uncomfortable situations. That's how you find out who you really are and what you're made of. It reveals your character is revealed through adversity. It's not revealed through times of comfort and lots of support. It's revealed through times of adversity. Who you really are gets exposed to yourself and other people. So with my trumpet playing, like I said, I just found out that I'm related to Marvin Gaye and Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Curtis Mayfield and Big Miller. My life would be different if I knew this growing up, because I would study them out there. I thought, okay, it's in my bloodline. And not only that, I got other musicians in my family. Vanessa Bell Armstrong, the great gospel artist. There's other people like rappers. I got all type. I had my Aunt Stephanie just passed, and she knew a lot of the history of our family. And she actually tried out for Motown back in the day. That's my paternal grandmother's eldest child, the one that was called by a mysterious woman in college saying that her father was dead, although he was eating dinner that night when they called, and she was in a panic. And my grandfather said not yet, because he knew he was a dead man walking. And like I said, there's more to that story, but we talked about that a couple of episodes ago. So, and also she was a talented visual artist. So, I mean, we all got that in our family. But what I'm trying to tell people is, I'm going to do me, man. This is not about you all. It's about me. I'm on my own journey, but I'm just willing to share my journey with you all. Like I could have just kept on Dick Gregory talks to myself. I could have kept Judge Brown to myself. I could have kept a lot of things to myself, but I got a sharing and a teaching spirit. Like my mom put that in me to share and give. Like DMX said in one of these things, he wishing dude happy birthdays. You have the gift of life. You got to give till it's hurt. You got to can't hold on to it. Got to give, baby. Got to give it all. Give it up. Don't hold on to the blessings. Give it up. So you got to give. That's what I'm doing. I'm giving in my own way, but also I'm dealing with me. I got my own little issues being just a person, just being a human being. But yeah, I'm sharing me with everybody. I don't really care. I don't need nobody to co-sign me. Somebody said, what about, you forgot Freddie Hubbard. I didn't forget Freddie Hubbard, because I don't listen to Freddie Hubbard like that. I listen to Lee Morgan. Now, Lee Morgan is a beast. And Freddie Hubbard was a beast, but he ain't he was a great trumpet player. But I'm saying, people always trying to tell you, like, oh, you forgot. I didn't forget nobody. Because I know who I listen to. I know who I like. You know what I'm saying? I know who I am. And I respect the contribution. It's like when people put up their top 5 or top 10, Melly Mel is not in my top 5 or top 10, but I respect that Melly Mel provided the blueprint for some of my favorites. You know what I'm saying? It's not about so-and-so is greater than the other person. To me, it's about contribution, like being confident. The people I like are the folks that a lot of y'all may not like the Loneliest Monk. There's some people that think that the Loneliest Monk could not play piano. That's bullshit. He could play piano. He could sound like Fats Waller. He could sound like Count Basie. He could sound like Duke Ellington if he wanted to, but he wanted to be himself. He wanted to be himself, and he paid the price for that. But he said it best. He said, even if it take 20 years to get an audience, just be who you are. See, I'm not interested in trying to be. I'm really a loner, but people always want to be around me. But I'm okay being by myself. I am, because I'm not ashamed. I'm not embarrassed. I'm not scared of who I am as a person. You know what I'm saying? I know myself very well. If you don't know yourself very well, I remember I was in college, this beautiful woman, beautiful young lady. She said her biggest fear is being alone by herself. I said, damn, you're so gorgeous. What's wrong? She's just scared to be alone. And I'm saying the times that's going to make you who you are, you're going to be alone. Everybody going to be for you. Sometimes the best thing ain't the most popular thing to do or to think or whatever. But by me existing and while I'm on this planet, my job is to help y'all free yourselves from the fear of being yourself. That's about it. I don't need nobody to put me on no pedestal. I don't need no following. Just follow yourself. Be comfortable with being who you are. Be the leader that you was meant to be. And like I said, like even people trying to clown me and I don't know, trolls, I don't care about all that. But I'm saying, I'm glad. I want to thank the moderators yesterday for slowing that down, because they was messing up the conversation. Because like it was a lot of important gems and jewels dropped, And I pride myself on having a very educated and talented and receptive audience that support We All Be. I want to thank y'all for all the donations, the emails, the texts, the phone calls of support, love, and kindness. Thank you so much for that. And that's why I'm on here tonight, trying to give y'all the best that I have and that I got. So let's move on. Stop talking about all me. Let's talk about We All Be. Let's talk about the Fort Pillow Massacre. Let's talk about our ancestors and give them their due. So without further ado, I got a couple of clips and stuff lined up, but I want to get one endorsement I want to play. I don't really care for endorsements, but one I'm going to play is Baba Dick Gregory. Like in the last interview I did with him back on April 4th, 2017, which also the year he made his transition to a righteous ancestor, he gave his endorsement for what we were doing, my organization, in terms of commemorating the righteous ancestors with our Fort Pillow reflame ceremony. This is back in 2017. I want to just play what he had to say, his words of wisdom and insight and motivation, and we'll get on with the beginning or some stuff like that. I don't know. But this is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. I have not yet checked the chat room. Thank y'all for tuning in. I see some crazy stuff in there. We'll get my regulators. I'm gonna call y'all up, get the regulators. We're not gonna have no foolishness tonight. I have to be a tyrant on my channel now. I thought I could just do free speech and support people not being censored. It's time to cancel the BS. You know, but this We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
This is Judge Joe Brown, and you're watching We All Be News TV, the
News Free Dixie.
News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
I'll get you on this.
Well, you know, first, let me say something. I can't remember what it was, but I went to a ceremony where they was raising money in Richmond, Virginia, where they was going to put a parking lot where the ancestors was buried.
Oh, Gabriel Prosser, the African burial ground.
They stopped it. They stopped it. You know, they stopped it. And so what you do is those folks, if they was Billy the Kid, Wild Bill Hickok, and all of that, they'd be honored. The mafia, honored. Here's a group of humble people that came as slaves, man. And talking about liberty is where America talks about liberty. And look what happened to them. So it is your job and the people's job to see to it that they have the proper burial. America spends millions of dollars going looking little bones and stuff, going on Indian reservations, digging and find something. Oh, the greatest thing on the planet. I don't know if you saw Indiana
Jones
and the what they call it, the crystal skull.
Mm-hmm.
Do you realize how much money is spent trying to put that crystal skull? And they found out that in the London Museum and Smithsonian, they fake. How'd you know? The woman said because the kind of stuff they need to chip them like that wasn't invented till 100 years later.
Wow.
But we know it's a fake.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all you have to do is just, and to let the people know. See, nobody can understand what's happening at the age of information if they don't know it.
Right.
You know, what's that? What's this? Huh?
Mm-hmm.
And so somewhere, you know, who was it that Little Wall Street, that wasn't the New York Times or Wall Street. That was
No, Black Wall Street. Oh, yeah.
The black press.
Mm-hmm.
They did that. And now little children know Black Wall Street, what it means, what happened, what's about the riots. And if you go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and get the Tulsa morning paper, there's a big hole in it, front page. They didn't move the paper. They just put a hole in it because you don't know what the story is. So no, it's just no. No, it's gonna happen. You have to wonder. No, it's gonna happen, and do it. And so I say to anybody that's listening to this, that hear it, that what would you need the people to do?
I mean, to show up and it's to pay homage at the reflame ceremony on April 12th.
April the 12th.
At 10 o'clock a.m.
You know, it's interesting. Interesting. Is when the government sent the troops in to kill King. They came in on March the 28th and left out on April the 12th.
Wow.
Killed him on the 4th, but they hung around to make sure it wasn't nobody else that saw something they had to kill.
Wow.
Hell of a day, man.
Yeah. Wow.
And so that's what I would, say do, is that, and then have some little booklets printed up. It's hard for people to go home and try to explain something that they don't know. That's a little booklet. It's a sheet of paper put up what this was about. It's that simple.
That's right.
And I know you're gonna pull it off because this is your business. It's information, and that's what you're doing now. It's information.
That's right.
So I just say thank you, man. Think about it, love it, and then do it.
That's right. Thank you. And that was Baba D. Gregory giving his blessing for that year's reflame ceremony, because we found it actually, that was the first year where we actually was in the right spot this time. We was in the wrong spot of the cemetery when we did it the first time, and my trumpet playing was off, whatever, but we found the right spot, and ever since that time, we've been doing good, baby. So he gave us his blessing, and this is what we're going to do. And I've been blessed that I have a large archive of videos that's related to the subject of the Fort Pillow Massacre, as well as to who Nathan Bedford Forrest really was and how he's viewed, pros and cons. Like, I interviewed supporters and detractors, historians and lay people about this man's legacy, and also about the Fort Pillow Massacre. Like I said, we've been putting in his work since 2016, so it's been 5 years going strong. Last year we didn't do the reflame ceremony per se. Me and my mom actually went there and did it and recorded it, and also got people to pay homage as well. Like, shout out go to Lyndon Comstock out of California. He helped us find the right location of our righteous ancestors in the Memphis National Cemetery. And he's been helpful in helping me find out about my roots and my mom's roots, our family tree and history, because I actually have relatives who fought in the Civil War, the Moon Brothers, M-H-O-O-N. That's an interesting way to spell moon, right? But it's M-H-O-O-N, the Moon Brothers from Tunica County. There's a place called Moon Landing down in Tunica. I guess it used to be a part of the plantation down there. And they actually were brothers who fought in the Civil War. One of my ancestors, one of the brothers, died from injuries at the Battle of Vicksburg, I believe. But Frank Moon is like, he is my grandfather's father, my maternal grandfather, mother's father, I believe. I hope I got that right. But if I don't, I can always come back and get it right. But Frank Moon, they were Civil War veterans. So I can name ancestors that fought in the Civil War for their liberation. So I think it's important, like with Judge Joe Brown, you see how he was well versed in his family histories and stuff. And that's why he is the man who he is, because he know where he come from. So we gotta take some time as a people to start looking into our family trees and our roots and stuff. So you don't want to talk about reparations, you know what you're talking about, because you name the names and the incidents and stuff that happened in your family, because we all dealing with generational trauma. So I just want to move on. I got a couple of videos lined up. I'm trying to get this all done. Oh my God, so much stuff. But I had to do it tonight. Let's see. I was looking through the videos I got pulled up. Let's see what I'm going to play next. I'm doing my God work. Like I said, I thought I was sitting here to die for the people, but I'm here to live and teach. I'm not here to die for nobody. Like I'm just looking at the chats right now. Me. How do I shrink myself? Did I do a shrink? Oh, let me see. I heard that many times. I do believe that because you don't really know too much of anything at the beginning. You got the energy and stuff. You got the curiosity, but you're very naive about a lot of things. You got to go through some stuff and have something to say and stand on. So I definitely heard that say. I believe that's true now because where I'm at right now in my life, I'm figuring things out. And I wish I knew some of these things maybe 20 years earlier or 15 years earlier, but it is what it is. But I definitely co-sign on that. I definitely agree because I'm going through right now. I'll be 41 on April 23rd, but like it's just funny how 40 is 40, man. I don't care what nobody. People tell me, it's the new 30 and all the hell. Tell me that in the morning time when I'm waking up and trying to meditate and say, what the hell going on with my life? I'm trying to put it all together, man. Hey, I'm trying to still be of service. People don't I mean, it's a blessing though. I'm not knocking it because the alternative is death, but yeah, 40 is an interesting time because people put a lot of emphasis on youth, and youth is really, you don't know what the hell going on. You got the energy and stuff, but you don't know what you're really doing. Not saying that people after 40 know what they're doing, but you have an understanding of some, you have some life experiences under your belt, and you still here, it haven't taken you out. But you look at a lot of the people that are iconic in their field, like like Ray Kroc. They had the movie called The Founder, great movie with Michael Keaton playing Ray Kroc. Ray Kroc got into McDonald gang. The McDonald brothers started McDonald's, but he made it into a global icon. He got into that when he was 59 years old. You look at it, he was selling milkshakes and stuff at the time, but he had all types of careers or jobs he had over his lifespan, including being a jazz pianist, because his last wife, she was a jazz pianist, if I'm not mistaken, Joan Kroc, I think that's her name. And it became philanthropist, whatever. But great point. And also Colonel Sanders. He ain't start what we now know as Kentucky Fried Chicken until he was in his 60s. I think he used one of his Social Security checks to start Kentucky Fried Chicken. And, the story, he going on the road, showing folks how to cook the chicken, creating franchises, doing basically grassroots mom and pop stuff, right? And he ended up training Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's. Dave Thomas started out with Colonel Sanders. So people don't know. That's some interesting history, but yeah, definitely agree with that. Salute to you as well. Peace. Thank you, Hero. We love you madly too, Sister Clark. Thank you, Sister Sheila. Always been there. You are a moderator in chief. I really appreciate your help yesterday. It was crazy. Just trying to. I won't go hard. I'll be kind. Yeah, my mom, she won. Yeah, my mom's good people, man. She a unique person. Just very gifted in her own right. Yeah, be perfectly imperfect, man. Don't be ashamed because it's so much genius out here that goes unsung because we're afraid to step out. Okay, I'll give you an example. Bob Dylan. Y'all ever listen to Bob Dylan? How he sang or sing? I mean, Bob, but he's a music genius, right? I mean, because his lyrics. But I mean, his voice ain't the greatest voice, right? We all agree Bob Dylan don't have the greatest, even Jimi Hendrix, but he was a hell of a guitarist. But they still sang and they still played and they found an audience, man. Because people was like Jimi Hendrix, Jimi Hendrix, we all know he was great, arguably the greatest guitarist that whoever lived, right? But nobody know what do with Jimi Hendrix at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like Jimi Hendrix, he played backup for Little Richard and the Isley Brothers. He was a journeyman. He's a journeyman sideman. And he had to go to England to get his fame and fortune, right? The Beatles and all them came over here, but Jimmy had to go over there. Because people would say, well, Jimmy's too white for black audience. Then he was too black for white audiences. But then when you go to his concert, it was all jam-packed with all types of people. And Jimi Hendrix was a threat because he was politically aware. Now, like with DMX situation, people want to say how he died, did he OD? Jimi Hendrix, there's a popular misconception about Jimi Hendrix. Jimi Hendrix was not an addict. Let me repeat that. Jimi Hendrix was not an addict. He called his band The Experience. Jimi Hendrix was all about living life. He was about trying things out, dibbling, dabbling. He was not a junkie. But that's the popular misconception, right? But also he's politically woke. He was very woke. He was a big financial supporter of the Black Panther Party. Now, Judge Joe Brown, a lot of y'all getting y'all feelings about Judge. Judge don't care for no Michael Jackson. He don't care for no Sam Cooke. He don't care for no James Brown. And he did not care for no Jimi Hendrix. He judged, and nobody listened to Jimi Hendrix. Hell, we didn't listen to Jimi Hendrix. Nobody anymore. But Jimi Hendrix was a big supporter of the Black Panther Party. Now, there's a documentary that came out just a couple years after he passed. They interviewed the girl, the original Superhead, their sister, beautiful chocolate sister that basically was everybody's dream girl, from Jimi Hendrix to Sam Cooke to Jackie Wilson to Sly from the Family Stone. James Brown, everybody had a ride on her. Little Willie John, a lot of them guys ended up dying crazy deaths after messing with her. But she was like, hey, Jimmy was into the Panther Party. Like, he's about the paper all the time. He gave money to him. And also with Jimi Hendrix, is a question about how he died. He didn't die. It killed him. He was murdered. His manager was Mike Jeffrey, who was British intelligence, MI6. And then his girlfriend died crazy. The woman that was there that night when Jimmy passed. She ended up, I guess she wrote a book and she ended up like dying not too long ago. But look into that type of stuff. Stop letting these folks tell you who our people are. They don't know who we be. It's we all be. Okay, let me stop now. But I don't know why I got on that tangent, but it's very. Yeah, we all got gifts and stuff, but a lot of us don't live our full potential because we let this system dictate our terms of existence and how far we can go. We got to start feeding our imagination. Like Einstein say, imagination is more powerful than knowledge. I'm paraphrasing Einstein. So, well, about Monk, I don't know, because Miles would say, I remember they did a recording with the great vibraphonist, Milton Jackson, from Detroit. And Miles told Monk allegedly to lay off a little bit. But Monk, I think Miles could appreciate Monk because Monk gave people space. Miles was a master of space. Miles didn't care about filling up the space with notes and chords like Coltrane. Miles was a master of space. It's like his favorite pianist, from my understanding, was Ahmad Jamal from Pittsburgh. That was Miles's favorite pianist. He had a lot of respect for Ahmad Jamal. I think Ahmad Jamal is still around. So that's great to have an elder like that, a grand elder. But you look at somebody like Cecil Taylor. I don't know y'all hip to Cecil Taylor. A lot of us didn't listen to goddamn Cecil Taylor. Cecil Taylor was he was unique on the piano. He was very abstract. He was too abstract for a lot of us, but he was rooted in us. You know what I'm saying? But look, check out Cecil Taylor. I remember I had a conversation with Jimmy Heath, the late great Jimmy Heath. I have yet to pay the proper tribute to that wonderful man. I spent hours with him in his Queens apartment back in March of 2016. He's sharing everything with me. Now, Jimmy Heath was a great man. He part of the Heath brothers from Philadelphia. They called him Little Bird because he sounded like Charlie Parker on the alto sax. He ended up switching to tenor sax. Now, there's a famous picture of Jimmy Heath directing Charlie Parker and John Coltrane. He had Charlie Parker and John Coltrane in his band at the same time. I think it's a picture where he's got his back turned and the cameraman took a picture of him conducting the band. And I think Bird is soloing and Coltrane is mesmerized by Bird. He's hypnotized by Bird. Like you tell, he's in awe, right? So I remember Jimmy Heath said he was running the Jazzmobile up in New York and Harlem, whatever. One of my favorite saxophones of all time is a guy named Albert Ayler. That's Albert Ayler, Ayler. He was from Cleveland, Ohio, free jazz pioneer, like really free. Look up free jazz from the 60s. And he's like he actually was one of Coltrane's favorite saxophonists. I think Coltrane said he played like I want to play in my dreams. Like that's how I want to sound, like Albert Ayler. Matter of fact, he performed at Coltrane's funeral. There's a audio recording of him performing at Coltrane's funeral. He said that Albert Ayler started playing, via the Jazzmobile. The folks in Harlem opened their windows and shut that shit up. They started throwing books and shit at his ass. I said, shut the fuck up. That's Albert Ayler. I love Albert Ayler. And y'all gotta check him out. I know he ain't everybody could, but Albert Ayler actually could play the saxophone. He could actually play, but he wanted to play himself. He went back. He was very spiritual. He went back into the essence, the foundation of our music. He was like a conduit from Congo Square. Y'all know about Congo Square in New Orleans, where they would play drums and all that. He was challenging our people's spirits and shit. You know, the ancestors. He was having ancestral talks with his saxophone. I love his stuff. And then he could sing. He could actually sing. Listen to his stuff, man. But unfortunately, he died young. They found his body in the East River, I believe, up in New York. I think it's the East River. I'm not going to look it up right now. But he was just 34 years young. And it's all types of rumors. I heard that he was killed by the mob because, you know, whatever. He was dating a white girl at the time. Then I also heard that, you know, he just had a breakdown. His brother used to play with him. His brother played like cornet or trumpet. I think, you know, he just like, I guess stuff was overwhelming him. I don't know what happened. Because I know I had a mentor or Jegna, I'll call him a Jegna, Giuseppe Peroni. He passed on. He's an ancestor now, but he was an Italian American from Boston. And he was real big into jazz. He was one of my art professors at WashU. And it's kind of like how we got started off was on the wrong foot. Because his class I used to take from him was like 8 o'clock in the morning on Mondays. You know, this is the weekend. You're a college student, a freshman. Like I was always late to class. But one day he played a documentary on Sun Ra. It changed my life. Sun Ra saved my life. And that's another podcast. We'll be talking about For a Pillow. But he got me hooked into jazz. Like he started, you know, recording me albums from his collection, like Dinah Washington, Mal Waldron, Coltrane, Duke Ellington. And he just got me deep, but he got me hip to the Albert Ayler. And I think he knew Albert Ayler because he used to hang out. I mean, he was really big into the jazz scenes in New York and California. But I think he said that he was killed by the mob, and he's Italian. So he might know better than I do. But with that said, a lot of people don't listen to Albert Ayler like black people, but he does have a following. But to me, I love Albert Ayler. Now, he's not everybody's cup of tea. Don't mean he's not great. You know what I'm saying? Just had another way of approaching the saxophone. And that's cool. It's like with Coltrane, Coltrane was a late bloomer. You know what I'm saying? Coltrane wasn't Coltrane until he was 30 years old. But Monk helped Coltrane become Coltrane. Because Monk had a way where he knew how to use space as well. I mean, Monk was a saxophonist's dream. You know, Miles Davis, I mean, he benefited from Monk compositions. Like I love Miles Davis' rendition Around Midnight. So I think that people say he didn't like Monk. It's kind of like overstated because Monk, the thing about Monk was, if you read some of the early reviews on Monk, people like was down in Monk, man. Monk is the second most recorded jazz composer behind Duke Ellington. And his catalog is way, way smaller than Duke Ellington. I think he have under 300 compositions attributed to Monk. Duke got thousands and thousands of songs. So the fact that he's the second most recorded jazz composer behind Duke should tell you something about who Monk was and is. He's a giant. But, you know, his playing ain't for everybody. It's very angular, and he used space the way he used dissonance and all that stuff. The way he approaches percussive, but he could, you know, I don't want to get all into that bag because I think like it's like Rashawn Roland Kirk. Like somebody mentioned Rashawn Roland Kirk the other day. Look, Rashawn Roland Kirk was so great that what would be considered gimmicky by other people, it was high art. It was high art because he could play multiple saxophones at one time, and it didn't sound goofy or gimmicky. It sounded brilliant. So I don't know, but let me just move on because I'll get into y'all open up rabbit holes and stuff. Let me check this out. See what y'all saying. Yeah, Ahmad Jamal was great, but he still is great. I mean, he's still around. But we lost so many over the last year, you know. Yeah, a lot of great musicians are from Cleveland. So, you know, I can see why Cleveland might have the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Ohio in particular, like a lot of R&B greats. I mean, I don't think about Roger Troutman the other day. I mean, a lot of great musicians from Ohio. Yeah, well, Coltrane, you know, people don't know. Nobody never seen Coltrane smile with his mouth, with his teeth. You know, you never seen a picture where Coltrane would show his teeth when he smiled. The reason why that was, Coltrane teeth was very jacked up. His teeth was really jacked up. Coltrane teeth was really jacked up. He often had a hard time finding the right mouthpiece for his mouth, for his embouchure, because his teeth were so jacked up. I know Miles talked about in his autobiography how he thought that when Coltrane went to the dentist, did some dental work done, he thought it would destroy his sound, because Miles thought that a lot of his sound came from the fact that his teeth were so damn jacked up. But, you know, after, he sound all right. He sound good. Okay, no problem. But Coltrane, I mean, nobody sounds like Coltrane. Nobody. I mean, it took Coltrane on soprano saxophone to offer an alternative sound on soprano saxophone in comparison to the great Sidney Bechet. I love Sidney Bechet. Y'all didn't get hip to Sidney Bechet. He's a national hero over in France. But my favorite thing is Coltrane, but it's soprano saxophone. Man, nobody can. Coltrane changed the game, man. He's in the league by himself. But he was no prodigy. That's the thing. Bird was no prodigy. Coltrane was no prodigy. That was hard work. Coltrane's a Libra. He's born September 23rd, 1926. So he's on the cusp of Virgo. Bird was a Virgo. You know, August 29th. I said Michael Jackson, Dinah Washington, Albertina Walker. A lot of music greats born August 29th. He was a Virgo. So Coltrane had that Virgo obsession, even though he was a Libra, right? Coltrane kept saxophones around his home like some folks keep guns around their homes, like NRA members and stuff. But practice hours and hours and hours. You know, Coltrane went to Miles, said, Miles, I can't stop playing. I don't know what to do. I can't stop. And Miles said, take the fucking horn out your mouth. That's all right. Just take the horn out your mouth. Stop. But he was so obsessed with like playing, running scales and chords. That's why we got a Coltrane. Because if you want to get those type of sounds, you really got to be dedicated to spending a lot of time with yourself woodshedding. Musicians call it woodshedding. But any art, any craft, any skill, it takes a lot of hours to get to a certain level. Like they say, in order to master something, it takes about 10,000 hours. So I don't know. But anyway. Yeah, Roland Kirk was one-man band. Now, Coltrane got some great pieces. Yeah, it took a long time for Monk to find his audience, though. Monk was an acquired taste. Even when I first heard Monk, I was like, what the hell is this stuff? But once you start listening to Monk, it's logical. It's like Monk is like advanced math, like trigonometry and calculus. He's just advanced. Like his stuff is, it seems like everything's out of tune, his destinies, but everything fits. What's crazy about Monk is it took a long time for him to get an audience to support and appreciate what he did. He was an acquired taste for musicians, but the musicians who were proficient at the highest levels, like Coleman Hawkins and the Dizzy Gillespie's and the Coltrane's, they got Monk. It was the lesser musicians that were intimidated by Monk. Also, commercially, they're trying to, but people, he had champions, right? He was lucky he had the Jazz Baroness, the one that was a champion for Charlie Parker. He died in her apartment at the Stanhope Hotel, March 12th, 1955. Then, Thelonious died in her mansion up in Weehawken, New Jersey, February 17th, 1982. The Jazz Baroness was a big supporter of Monk. Look at that documentary that Clint Eastwood produced called Straight No Chaser about Monk. It's great. You got the Baroness, you looking at her. I don't know if his wife was cool with the Baroness, because Monk, can you imagine being married or living with Thelonious Monk? How crazy that is. This dude stay up for several straight days, banging on the piano. Then he'll sleep for like 2 or 3 days straight. It was just all over the place, but he was a genius, man. He was a real genius. And he said to be a genius is just to be yourself, just to be comfortable with yourself. And it took him 20 years to get the respect. So to me, with Monk, he paid the price for being himself, and he didn't create as much as Duke Ellington in terms of compositions, but the stuff he left us, like you hear that in commercials, you hear it in movies. When you look at these late night talk shows, they're playing Monk stuff or Monk inspired music. You don't even know where they're coming from, but it took him to pay the price to make that mainstream. See, there's no originality no more. That's why DMX is amazing. He paid the price for his originality. Bernie Mac paid the price for his originality. Coltrane paid a price for his originality. The greats are different. They don't want to sound like everybody. I don't want to sound like Miles Davis. I love Miles. I don't care if it sound like Miles. He already did it. I want Ron Hurd to be part of the canon. I like Freddie Hubbard, but he's not one of my. I love Lee Morgan. I love Booker Little. We honoring him this year, like we did last year with Jimmy Lunsford. But Louis Armstrong, I don't give a damn what y'all say about Satchmo. Ain't nobody like Satchmo. Satchmo created pop music. He's not just a jazz figure. This man created pop singing. Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, Billie Holiday, Nat King Cole, yeah, all the way to Aretha, to Whitney. Everybody owes royalty payments to Satchmo, Louis Armstrong. He created it. And his trumpet, man, he didn't have to have no bebop. All he had to do was hit one note. I'm out of here, Satchmo. Hit one note. He don't sound like nobody. That's African, Black, indigenous spirituality. Nobody could teach Louis Armstrong how to sound like that. He was sounding like himself. He talked like that. See, I just saw a video with Tony Bennett talking about how Louis Armstrong was cracking up Prince Philip, the one that just passed. He was sitting next to Prince Philip telling all these dirty jokes and all this stuff, musician humor. And Prince Philip was cracking up. He said, then like Louis was, hey, I want y'all to be regular. He has some Swiss Chris. I got some Swiss Chris. I went to his house. So Swiss Chris was a laxative, whatever, help you clean your system out. So every time, he gave Queen Elizabeth all them Swiss Chris. Hey, Queenie, here goes Swiss Chris. Then Louis Armstrong was so badass. You got to read his letters. It's like this dude named Thomas Brothers from Duke. He edited Louis Armstrong letters. Louis Armstrong was so brilliant, and he had a lot of common sense. But Tony Bennett talks about this story where Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen of England, she asked Louis, like, Louis, what inspired you to be a musician? How you get into the business? And Louis told her the story. He didn't care if she was the Queen of England. He didn't care if she was royalty. He basically told it plain. He said, hey, Queen, okay. I came to my friend named Black Benny. He was a pimp and a bass drum player down in New Orleans. I said, Black Benny, all I want to do is play my horn and make a living, man. I don't want to be out in the streets in the battlefield and all that stuff. And he looked at me, Black Benny. Black Benny was a big, black, beautiful brother, about 6'6" and stuff like that. He was a pimp. He said, Louis, you'll find a white man that loves you, they'll fight for you, and you become that white man's nigga. He told that to the Queen of England. So y'all call him Louis Armstrong or Uncle Tom. Uncle Tom was nothing but a shapeshifter, like Dick Gregory told y'all. Y'all think Uncle Tom was the bad meaning. Uncle Tom, the real Uncle Tom, helped runaway slaves. He established a town in Canada. Take a look. It's all online. So that was Louis Armstrong. He smoked weed every day. Smoked weed every day. There's a story where Louis Armstrong was in the airport. He had a suitcase full of weed, marijuana, that good old natural, good high, man. Richard Nixon saw Louis Armstrong at the airport. This is Richard Nixon, the president of the United States, right? Richard Nixon was a big jazz fan. That man actually was a very good musician. Richard Nixon could play all types of instruments, which is interesting. He loved jazz. Richard said, hey, Louis, how you doing? Can I help you with something, Louis? Hey, Prez, take my suitcase from me, man. Hey, okay, Louis. You took the suitcase full of weed and gave it back to Louis Armstrong. Thank you, Prez. Ha ha, dig you, man. Love you madly. So that's Louis Armstrong's. But y'all think Louis Armstrong was a pushover and a punk? Man, Louis Armstrong's first wife was a prostitute named Desi Parker. So that made Louis Armstrong a pimp. And his second wife, of course, was from Memphis. But I'm saying all to say it's so much history here. You know what I'm saying? Y'all too busy getting caught up and trying to look good and, all these Instagram filters and bullshit and TikTok. I'm just telling y'all the roots of everything. And when it comes down to it, it's not about sounding like Aretha Franklin or Whitney Houston because they sounded like themselves. Or Nat King Cole. It's about, are you okay in amplifying your own voice? Whatever you do, whatever your gifts and talents and skills are you good with amplifying your voice for the world to see? Shine your light for the world to see. Say, yeah, well, Monk is great to me. Like he said, Monk was one of the few jazz musicians to appear on Time magazine cover. Cause I know y'all love white validation, but Thelonious Monk was the man, man. I love Monk, man. So you did. I know about Woody Shaw. Woody Shaw was a badass, man. Woody Shaw was a trumpet player. You know what I'm saying? Woody Shaw went to Laurinburg Institute, I believe, in South Carolina, or was it North Carolina? Because that's the same institute that produced Dizzy Gillespie. And Woody Shaw died so young. I think Woody Shaw 44 when he died. Y'all be throwing these names out here. I don't know who the hell these people are. I know about Woody Shaw, but I don't really listen to Woody Shaw like that. But he was a hell of a technician, man. Now, there's a cat that y'all need to know about that y'all don't know about, named Freddie Webster. Look up Freddie Webster. He used to play with Louis Jordan on his jump stuff, them jump blues stuff. Freddie Webster was a badass. Freddie Webster played for the great Jimmy Lunsford. He got a great song he did called Yesterdays. that was on the radio. It was broadcast on the radio back, I think, July 12th, 1943. And you can find it on YouTube. And he just like, my God, Freddie Webster is the G. His sound is amazing. Miles Davis wanted that sound. He wanted Freddie Webster's sound. That was his idol. Dizzy Gillespie said, he basically said, Dizzy Gillespie said that Freddie Webster was basically Gabriel. That's how bad Freddie Webster, he had that fat, big sound. But unfortunately, he died of a drug overdose. Somebody put some stuff into some drugs that was meant for Sonny Stitt. Y'all heard about Sonny Stitt? He was a great saxophonist. But somebody put some hot stuff and some drugs, and he took it and he died. It was meant for Sonny Stitt from Sonny Stitt. He was about either 29 or 33 years old when he died. And he was from Cleveland. Either he's from Birmingham and he went to Cleveland or something like that. They say sometimes they say he's from Birmingham. Sometimes they say he's from Cleveland. But he got Cleveland ties. So look up Freddie Webster. It's so many great ones that we don't talk about. That's why I say I don't believe in ranking per se, like the top 5. I do that sometimes for fun. But there's so many great ones that never get their shine. Like Hot Lips Page, another great trumpet player. Out of the Count Bass and Biddy Moulton bands, you know what I'm saying? Hot Lips Page, another great one that people don't talk about no more. So there's so many of them. Yeah, Alka-B is me. Same old run. Same old run. That's a remix. But anyway, let me talk over. Yeah, what I love about Scott Joplin is the fact that he helped other musicians who couldn't read or write record their music for posterity. Scott Joplin believed in the power of helping his people get their money. Scott Joplin also said he wouldn't be famous until 50 years after his death. It took that movie to what's that movie called with Paul Newman? I think it's Paul Newman and Robert Redford. Y'all know the movie The Sting. They played his song, The Entertainer. But Scott Joplin was a G. I love the fact he helped this guy named Louis Chauvin. Louis Chauvin. He was like black and also Mexican, but he was from St. Louis. Louis Chauvin was a G. Louis Chauvin was one of the greatest piano players to ever live, but he couldn't read music, but he had perfect pitch. He had great recall, photographic memory. So Scott Joplin actually collaborated with him on this song called Heliotrope Bouquet. I think it's HELIOTROPE Bouquet or Bouquet or something like that. And let's Google that up, YouTube it. That song is amazing. Let's show you the genius of Louis Chauvin. But we wouldn't even have that if it was for Scott Joplin helping him notate and notate his music. He helped write it for him. He helped, document it. I'm not saying he heard listed Louis Chauvin or Louis Chauvin, how you say his name, play it. And Louis Chauvin died young at 27. He died young at 27. That's part of the 27 Club, like with Janis Joplin, Jimmy Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Robert Johnson, and some Kurt Cobain. They all died at 27. So he's a part of the 27 Club. But I think he died from complications from syphilis, I'm not mistaken, because they were like, syphilis was like the COVID-19, I guess, of the day or age, whatever. I think Scott Joplin had complications from syphilis, but also I heard that Irving Berlin, the Jewish composer, stole a lot of music from Scott Joplin, the guy who allegedly wrote God Bless America, but that's a different conversation. I thought we talking about For a Pillow. But y'all keep on throwing these names here. I don't know about these people, man. I know about these people. Yeah. Let's see. But let's move on. We talking about For a Pillow. I want y'all to learn about For a Pillow, about Nathan Bedford Forrest and all that stuff. Let's see. I'm gonna put my friend Sakita McKinley, a music collection. Come on, music. Great unsung talent in Memphis, very important person, beautiful woman. Sister, super soul sister, Sakita McKinley. Remembers For a Pillow through song. This is We All Be, News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Ain't gonna be with my little blue trumpet. Y'all want that little intro.
This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News, Radio, and TV. The news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
In honor of the fallen soldiers and the lives that they protected, the lives that they represented that stand here today, we do remember. Head-um, my babe. Oh, Lord. Head-um, babe. My Lord. Head-um, my babe. Head-um, babe. I don't know how my mother walked her troubles down. I don't know how my father stood his ground. I don't know how my people survived slavery. But I'm standing here with y'all 'cause I believe. I remember, my babe. Oh Lord, my Lord, I remember, I believe. Okay.
And my dear friend, Shakita McKinley, wonderful rendition. Whatever she was singing, it sounded very soulful, though. Soulful, don't you agree? And it actually was a part of the ceremony where I said we raised money for a historic marker to honor the righteous ancestors. We raised about close to $3,000, something like that, from the community to get that marker in front of the Memphis National Cemetery entrance, so people know who the people were that were buried there back in 1867. Who were the victims of the Fort Pillow Massacre led by Nathan Bedford Forrest, General Nathan Bedford Forrest. You know, we're going to talk about General Nathan Bedford Forrest. And also, as you all know or should know, back in 2017, December of 2017, they removed his infamous statue from Union Avenue, which actually was hovering over his remains. Him and his wife's remains were moved to that spot in a park. It was used to be known as Forest Park back in, I believe, 1904 or something like that. And then that statue was put there back in 1905, the equestrian statue with him on a horse, you know, on his little horse that facing south. I heard they actually turned the statue from facing north to south back in the 40s. What the old timers told me. I don't know whether it's true or not, but, you know, the South shall rise again. You know, Nathan Bedford Forrest is white supremacist Viagra. That's their Viagra. And they, you know, whatever. But, yeah, they removed that statue. That statue was made in Italy. You know, actually it was the daughters of the Confederacy. But people don't realize the white women, they not only advocated for lynching, but it was the white women, the daughters of the Confederacy in particular, that raised the money to build these Confederate monuments throughout the country. So it was the white women they had the control, not the white men. The white women were, you know, raising the money and raising the mess and raising hell. But anyway, let me see. We can move on. Now I want to talk about the connection about Forest Park. It's called Health Sciences Park now, where the statue used to be located on the remains of Nathan Bedford Forrest and his wife. Now they still on the street on Union Avenue. They still in that park. It's called Health Sciences Park now. But I want to talk about, I had noticed that there is a Scottish Rite organization and building located across the street from the park. And Albert Pike, the founder of the Ku Klux Klan, used to live in Memphis. He was in Memphis the same time that Nathan Bedford Forrest was in Memphis. And actually, Albert Pike was the leader of the Democratic Party in Memphis. Albert Pike was from Boston, but he was a Confederate general. He was over the Cherokee Indians. I tell y'all, Cherokee Indians, like the 5 civilized tribes, they fought in the Civil War on the side of the Confederacy because they had their own slaves. They had their black slaves, right? You heard about the Cherokee Nation recently. They got challenged in court by the descendants of freemen. And then they had to give the descendants of freemen, their reparations. See, I gotta look that up. That happened several years ago. But let's talk about Forest Park and Albert Pike and the Scottish Rite. Because I'll talk. I've been to several of Nathan Bedford Forrest's birthday celebrations because every year for over 100 years, the sons and daughters of Confederacy and also the admirers of Nathan Bedford Forrest were gathered in what used to be known as Forest Park, where he's buried at with his wife. He used to have the statue on top of his body. They used to gather there the Sunday before his birthday every year. His birthday is July 13th, he was born July 13th, 1821 in Chapel Hill, Tennessee. But Nathan Bedford Forrest's birthday is recognized by the Tennessee government. They give out a proclamation every year to acknowledge Nathan Bedford Forrest because he was a son of Tennessee, But he was a Klansman, a traitor too, and a war criminal, allegedly. Let's say allegedly. But let me play this video. The truth about Forest Park, Albert Pike, Confederate statues, and the Scottish Rite. The 901 you ain't know, but you about to know on We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Playing all the hits today. I'm joking.
This is Brother Ron, and welcome to We All Be News Radio and TV, the news-free Dixie for the 21st century. Greetings, family. This is Brother Ron on the scene with We All Be News that you can use. It's more than just education and entertainment. It's edutainment and infotainment. And I'm here at the scene at what's now known as Health Sciences Park. Used to be known as Forest Park. Nathan Bedford Forrest, the guy who was the notorious slave trader, suspect war criminal, and first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. This is his resting place for his mortal remains, him and his wife. But what is missing is the equestrian statue that's been in place, I believe, since 1905 on top of this monument. For the last 112 plus years, white folks have been coming to pay homage to Nathan Bedford Forrest. The Sunday before his birthday, he was born July 13th, 1821, but on an annual basis for the last 113 years, white folks from around the country and even around the world have paid homage to Nathan Bedford Forrest with reenactors, people on horseback, 21 gun salute, speaker, resolutions from elected officials, proclamations, stuff like that. They've been coming here. So in July 2018, it's going to be very interesting what happens, because this property was brought by a nonprofit headed by Van Turner, who is currently a Shelby County commissioner and lawyer. He was able to use the legal loopholes of the white inferiority system, because that's what it is white inferiority system, not the other one, to outsmart the white folks who created the game in the first place. So basically, he used white folks' rules and loopholes to outsmart the white people. They bought a property from the city for $1,000. They removed the statue, the equestrian statue, which is estimated to be worth millions of dollars. It was created in Italy. The money was raised by the sons and daughters of the Confederacy to, get the statue created and to hoist it upon the monument pedestal above the remains of Nathan Bedford Forrest and his wife back in 1905. So that statue's in a special holding place. But people think this is a victory. If you go across the river, right across the lazy river, there's a place known as Forest City, Arkansas, that Nathan Bedford Forrest named after himself. He founded a city, named it after himself. That's the same place where they kept T.I. We had those federal gun charges, I believe. I think he was staying in the state penitentiary or federal penitentiary over in Forest City, Arkansas. So he's got a city named after him that he founded that's overwhelmingly black. It's a majority black city. It's like Memphis is a majority black city where they had his statue here. See, Nathan Bedford Forrest used to be an alderman in Memphis back in the middle of the 19th century. And also he was a well-known Democrat. He was a Democrat and alderman, and I think he was a delegate for the Democratic Convention of 1868. As you all know, the person who took over for presidency of Lincoln was Andrew Johnson, a cat from Tennessee, a very racist Democrat. He was the president, and the Democratic Party also founded the Ku Klux Klan, and Nathan Bedford Forrest is the first Grand Wizard of the KKK, old KKK. So, and also people understand his legacy is very much a living one. We love our symbols as black people to remove statues and monuments, but at the same time, Nathan Bedford Forrest is one of the fathers of the private prison industry. You see on Adams Street, he used to have one of the largest slave markets in all of North America. And now on Adams Street is juvenile court, which is one of the most corrupt juvenile courts in the country, according to Justice Department officials and other people in the know. So there's a Forest County down in Mississippi. So, they remove a statue, but his legacy is very much alive. See, the thing about it is, Nathan Bedford Forrest, if he became the U.S. president, he would be just like Andrew Jackson in a lot of ways. The only problem with Nathan Bedford Forrest, the reason why they're taking pot shots at his legacy, because he has not been legitimized by the white inferiority system by becoming a president. Imagine if Nathan Bedford Forrest was a president of the United States. He would be no different to me, in my humble opinion, than that of Andrew Jackson, who has a lot of things named after him, by the way, and who was a prominent slave owner and a white inferiority person of the highest order, supreme racist. The one thing about Andrew Jackson that I like, he took on the banking system of America and of the world. He took on the banksters and won. They tried to kill him in the White House for it, but that's a different story. So I got another part of this story I want to share with you all that is not well known by the masses, especially people here. And by the way, one of Nathan Bedford Forrest's descendants is a black man named Douglas Turner Ward. His great-great-great-grandmother was a concubine, a mistress, a sex slave of Nathan Bedford Forrest. She was also his cook. She ran away fearing for her life. She was pregnant with Nathan Bedford Forrest's daughter, and she ran away to Louisiana and had her daughter. So Douglas Turner Ward's great-great-great-grandmother was the mistress, like a Sally Hemings, for General Nathan Bedford Forrest, notorious slave trader, war criminal. Okay, he was the one that led the Fort Pillow Massacre, where almost nearly 300 black Union soldiers, U.S. colored troops, and also black women and children were massacred, along with some whites on the Union side, Tennessee lawyers. Were massacred by Nathan Bedford Forrest Confederate forces, about 2,500 men. And on Juneteenth of this year, 2018, the We All Beacon Group Incorporated will hold a historic marker unveiling at Memphis National Cemetery. That's Juneteenth of this year, June 19th, 2018. That's Tuesday, 10 a.m. Central. We'll be having an unveiling of the historic marker. We was able to get secured that will honor the righteous ancestors, the victims of Nathan Bedford Forrest's Fort Pillow Massacre, who the majority of their remains are buried at Memphis National Cemetery. They've been there at Memphis National Cemetery since August of 1867. We all be for 3 straight years have honored these men, women, and children, the righteous ancestors. April 12th, rain or shine. We honor them with 21 gun salutes, riderless horse, color guard, all that stuff. Some of the best talent that Memphis got to offer. We made it into a new tradition where we honor the victims of Nathan Bedford Forrest on the anniversary of the Fort Pillow Massacre, which took place April 12, 1864. Also, April 12, 1861 marks the beginning of the American Civil War, which started at Fort Sumter, South Carolina. So it's a lot of history, but let me move on to another part they won't tell you about. And family, this is another history they won't tell you about as it relates to Nathan Bedford Forrest and what was now known as Health Sciences Park, but was formerly known as Forest Park. This right across the street from formerly Forest Park, which is Health Sciences Park, is the Scottish Rite Building. Freemason. Scottish Rite Building. Why is this so important, you may ask? Well, this is why it's so important. A lot of people are not aware of this cat named Albert Pike. Who was Albert Pike? Albert Pike is the only Confederate general with a monument in Washington, D.C. As a matter of fact, his statue is right across from the District of Columbia Court of Appeals. Like on their side, they have a statue of Lincoln outside. But right across the street from Abraham Lincoln is the statue of Albert Pike. He is the only Confederate general with that type of honor in D.C. So why hasn't that statue been removed? Who was Albert Pike? Well, Albert Pike was a Scottish Rite 33rd degree Freemason, a high Mason. And also he is credited with being the founder of the Ku Klux Klan. I said it right. Albert Pike was the founder of the Ku Klux Klan. He was a Confederate general. He was a brigadier general for the Cherokee Indians who fought for the Confederacy. Yes, the Cherokee Indians owned slaves and they fought for the Confederacy. They were considered one of the 5 civilized tribes. Last August, they were sued by the descendants of free people for reparations and for citizenship status. A judge ruled in the favor of the descendants of the free people, so the Cherokees had to pay reparations as well as give them citizenship status. Black people, pay attention. What did Brother Malcolm say? We did not land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. So Albert Pike was the Confederate general over the Cherokee Indians during the American Civil War for the Confederacy. He has a Masonic lodge named after him in Little Rock, Arkansas. This cat was not from down south. He was from upper south. Albert Pike was from Boston, Massachusetts. He was not from Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee, or Virginia. This cat was from Boston, Massachusetts. He's from the Northeast. He was an interesting character. To me, Albert Pike was like a cross between Santa Claus and Paul Bunyan. He was larger than life, and he was, like I said, the founder of the Klan. And back in the 1860s, he was the leader of the Democratic Party in Memphis, in Shelby County. Like I said, the Ku Klux Klan was invented by the Democrats, and also he was friends with Nathan Bedford Forrest. Now, Nathan Bedford Forrest, from my understanding, was not a Mason. He was not a Mason. Let me repeat, he was not a Mason. He was not a Mason. He was an odd fellow, supposedly. And like I told somebody who was a supporter of his this past summer, he was indeed an odd fellow in my opinion. But think about it. So you got the founder of the KKK, you got the first Grand Wizard of the KKK, and both were living in Memphis, Tennessee at the same time. So they were more than friends, OKKK. OKKK. All right. So I just want people to know that because that's not well known here in Memphis, because the media down here, for whatever reason, does not do a well job of informing the people. And I know when the statues came down in December, I had the pleasure of informing people about the significance of the Forest Park, formerly Forest Park, and the statue or monument to Forest being located right across the street from the Scottish Rite Building. So now you know. Albert Pike, founder of the Masons, founder of the Klan, was a Scottish Rite Freemason third degree who lived in Memphis, Tennessee, and was friends with Nathan Bedford Forrest. You see how it works? So I just did this video just to inform everybody, to tell them the truth about everything. When you know more, you can do more, and you can be more. And so thank you so much for listening, family. If you like the words from Brother Herb, please spread the word. Please support the We All Be information movement. I need your support, whether you make a one-time payment in PayPal, join up the movement via Patreon, buy R2C2H2 art you can wear and read wear and read and hang up. So all that, family, all that, okay, support the movement, support Brother Ron. Because when you support Brother Ron, you're supporting yourself. So in the words of Great Duke Ellington, we love you madly. We love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing.
So yeah, there's history out there you could use. But you know what's crazy? They took down that Albert Pike statue in DC. I mean, the people did. You know, it's like always a side. You know, the Black Lives Matter people, whoever was supporters, they basically took the statue down without any problem. They just took the statue down. You know, so he's not there no more, Albert Pike. But the legacy still remains. Okay, thank y'all for listening, staying around for the Do Nations. We love you madly. I appreciate everybody for following through and supporting this platform. We'll check out the chat. Peace and love. I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you so much. So time is flying. I just run my mouth. I'm talking about jazz. Should be talking about Four Pillow Mask all the time. I'm gonna play some more videos. Like I said, I told y'all. Oh yeah. Before I play a video, let me do this right quick. I think that's that guy right there. I mentioned him. Am I in here? I'm in here, right? That's Douglas Turner Ward. That's the founder of the Negro Ensemble Company, the great theater organization that trains some of the greatest Black actors and actresses of the 20th century, like people that are household names now, like people like James Earl Jones or Angela Bassett or Denzel Washington and Morgan Freeman. People like that came through the ranks of that. We just lost the brother right here, Douglas Turner Ward, back in February of this year. I want to say it was February 20th, I think 2021, around that time. He was 90 years young. The reason why I bring him up, because I spoke about him in that previous presentation. And he actually is the great-great-grandson of Nathan Bedford Forrest. Yeah, I said great-great-great, but I meant great-great-grandson. His mother, okay, I'm going to read. Douglas Turner Ward was born as Roosevelt Ward Jr. on May 5th, 1930 in Burnside, Louisiana. His parents were farmers and also owned a small tailoring shop. His great-great-grandmother, Eleanor, was a slave owned by General Nathan Bedford Forrest, one of the founders of the Ku Klux Klan. After Eleanor had a daughter from Forrest, she fled to Louisiana. So I thought she had the daughter in Louisiana. I mean, you read different sources. They act like she was pregnant when she left Nathan Bedford Forrest and had the daughter in Louisiana. But anyway, I just want to read that part. But this is the founder of the Negro Ensemble Company. I mean, wow. Ain't that crazy? He died in Manhattan on February 20th, 2021. But his great-great-grandfather is Nathan Bedford Forrest. I can't make this stuff up. Black history is stranger than science fiction. I know a beautiful woman, Sister Elaine Turner. She's a tour guide here. She runs the Slave Haven, which was a stop on the Underground Railroad. And she said she actually took him around the city when he came some years ago, Douglas Turner Ward. And he told her himself that his great-great-grandfather was Nathan Bedford Forrest. No, it's like telling a Jewish person telling somebody, "Oh, you know, my great grandfather is Adolf Hitler." It's like that. So I believe him. Because why would you want to let people know about that? You know what I'm saying? But if it was for, you know, he got his blood running through his veins. So this is our complex relationship with America, us as so-called black people. And that's the ancestor, Douglas Turner Ward, great-great-grandson of Nathan Bedford Forrest. I can't make this up, folks. I cannot. I don't have that type of great imagination. So speaking of descendants, I want to play, like I said, I covered Nathan Bedford Forrest. I'm talking loud. Let me tone it down if I get a fine. Shit. I covered Nathan Bedford Forrest's birthday celebration for 3 straight years, from 2015 to 2017. That's the year they took down the statue. And I did in 2015. You got to think about what happened in 2015. You know, April 4th, the Walter Scott shooting in Charleston, South Carolina, North Charleston, South Carolina. Then you had Mother Emanuel, the church massacre around Juneteenth on 2015. So I started covering Nathan Bedford Forrest's birthday celebration. That's been going on for over a century in Memphis. So I would tell black folks I was going down there, and it'd be like a whole bunch of white people down there, like Civil War reenactors, the white women wearing their little dresses from that era, drinking their julep, whatever stuff they like to drink. And they had watermelon and bottled water. They said, "Brother Ron, you want watermelon?" I said, "No, I don't want no watermelon from y'all. I don't want no water from y'all. It's out in July, y'all. It's real hot out here, humidity and stuff like that." But I covered it for 3 years. It was too many of us down there, even though this is a black city. It's weird because any other day you got black folks all around that area on Union Avenue. But for some reason, black folks don't come around the day where all them white folks are there. And like I said, we got a stereotype of white people being backwoods and, you know what I'm saying, redneck. These folks were very well-educated people. I met doctors and lawyers and business people, politicians, and even law enforcement who are admirers of Nathan Bedford Forrest. One of the spokespersons for the Sons and Daughters of the Confederacy, he actually worked in the sheriff department. I knew him. I don't know him that well, but I met him like when we're trying to raise awareness about doing historic marker for the victims of his hero, Nathan Bedford Forrest. He was on the Shelby County Historical Commission when we was doing our pitch for a historic marker. And we got it fast tracked through the grace of the righteous ancestors. Because a lot of folks were surprised that we were able to get that marker that fast. And we paid for the marker from the people. So, man, you had all types of people down there. And they actually knew who I was. Some of these folks said, "I know you, Brother Ron. I know who you are." I said, I wasn't scared. But I was trying to tell black folks about it. And, you know, people was afraid for my safety, but I didn't feel, I wasn't, you know, I was just there trying to understand and get a perspective on it myself. But I had a chance to interview a lot of them about their perspective, why they believe in Nathan Bedford Forrest, and about their perspective. But I want to play this quick clip from Nathan Bedford Forrest's white descendant, and we'll get back to it. But this is We All Be, News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Oh my God, crazy, crazy world. This is his great-great-grandson, Kevin Bradley, the white one, not the black one. The black one was Douglas Turner Ward. But here it is.
This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
I'm gonna ask you right now. I know I talked to you last year about the statue. I want to give you your thoughts about the climate of the country right now. I know that your ancestor is a divisive figure in American history, and you know what happened this past week. What are your thoughts right now? Like, what do you think what's going on right now and what we need to do? I mean, there's a lot to nail.
What we need to do is get over everything. You know, this is history. You know, history's everywhere. You can't erase it.
Yes, sir. So what do you think about the people, though, in terms of like the black people, like the Black Lives Matter movement with the police brutality?
I think it's, to me, silly because all lives matter.
But you think black people are targeted for police more so than other groups of people per se, or you think that there's...
I really can't have any say so on that. It's just, it seems like the black people they get in more confrontations with police.
Okay.
In other words, they don't obey the police commands when they tell them to do something. Before you know it, it escalates and somebody gets shot.
Okay, well, you'll take it. I mean, Nathan Bedford Forrest, people call him the father of private prisons. Is that true?
The father of what?
Of private prisons, like Adams Avenue is now.
Never heard of that.
Well, Adams Avenue was the largest slave market before the Civil War that he ran, and also President Allen out the war where he had black convict labor.
Refer you to Lee Miller.
Okay.
Those questions.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
So thank you. I appreciate it. All right. And that was Nathan Bedford Forrest, one, I guess his great grandson, the white one, Kevin Bradley. And Lee Miller, the guy he's talking about, is the spokesperson I was referencing. I interviewed him as well. He was a spokesperson for I don't know if he's still the spokesperson for the Shelby County Sheriff Department, but he worked in law enforcement, or he is working in law enforcement. So y'all talking about race soldiers, but Lee Miller, he's cool. I mean, in terms of he's not, he knows how he's media savvy. And I'm actually probably gonna have him on these live streams, probably in July, perhaps. I don't know. But yeah, but I would be normally one of the few handfuls of black people down there. And like he's talking to me, he know I'm a black person. He's talking to me. But my thing is, I've been knowing about Nathan Bedford Forrest and Fort Pillow Massacre since I was a kid. The reason why I knew about it for so long is because my grandmother had a World Book Black History Encyclopedia from the 70s. My maternal grandmother, the late great Hattie Mae, a beautiful woman, beautiful black woman. She taught herself how to read by reading the Bible. That's how she learned how to read. But she's from Como, Mississippi, and she had an encyclopedia set, World Book, but they had a special Black History edition. And when I was in elementary, I would just be in her home. I would read that thing for hours. Like I knew about Medgar Evers and Burt Williams and Florence Mills and Whitney Young, not because they taught me in school, because my grandma had that encyclopedia in her collection, and it also taught about the Fort Pillow Massacre, about General Nathan Bedford Forrest and stuff like that as well too. So I've been knowing about this stuff for a long time. I'm about to be 41 on April 23rd, so it's like I was being prepared to deal with this legacy later on in life. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's crazy how the universe works, But anyway, let me play something else. Like I said, I've been to 3 of those things, man. And I want to play one of the Civil War reenactors, right? One of Nathan Bedford Forrest fans. He compared Nathan Bedford Forrest to Dr. King. He's like, they would have been friends. I'm gonna let him say it for y'all. Y'all can hear this. Stuff is like, I can't make this up, folks. I was there. I recorded it for posterity. I gotta play it.
This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News-free Dixie for the 21st century.
I just want to know, what's your take on the Fort Pillow Massacre? Was he a war criminal? Did he actually kill women and children?
He was not in command. He'd been injured that morning. He didn't have anything to do with that. He didn't arrive till it was over.
Okay.
That's just propaganda, a big lie. He was injured. His horse fell on him, nearly broke his shoulder.
Okay.
He was not in command at Fort Pillow. The soldiers had surrendered, and then the gunboat came up and started firing again, and the surrendered folks took up their guns again. I mean, if you're attacking force, what do? They started fighting again after they surrendered. General Forrest has never done any wrong. They had big courts of inquiry. They would have crucified him if he had done a smidgen of wrong. He never had anything to do with the Ku Klux Klan. There's absolutely zero proof of that. No massacres, no nothing. He's never done any sort of wrong. That's just propaganda. General Forrest's cardinal sin was he was effective. Winner of battles, outnumbered 3-1. He's never defeated in battle. Then a battle that he was in command. Never defeated. Outnumbered always. He's the finest soldier America has ever produced. He's a defender of the Southern people. He is our Martin Luther King. He's our hero. He spoke twice to the NAACP. He was a friend of the people of the South. The NAACP, they were the forerunner of the NAACP, the Brotherhood of railroad porters, conductors. He was invited twice to speak to their convention. It's the Brotherhood of Porters, but this national black group had him to speak to them twice.
But the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters didn't exist till like the 1920s and 30s.
The forerunner of the NAACP.
Okay,
I'm not sure
you said pole barrels, right?
The porters. It's something to do with porters and railroad workers.
But I'm gonna ask you this about his role in private prisons. Like they said, they gave him a contract on President Allen to use black convict labor to raise corn and cotton and raise hogs on President Allen. And also his slave market was the largest slave market before the Civil War on Adams Avenue, which is now part of the Memphis prison industry complex. What's your take on him being a part of the private prison
movement? He was well known for being even the prisoners or the slaves, he treated them the best of any of these marketers. Even in Washington, D.C., where the American flag flew up, that was just the way it was. We're judging people in the 21st century and the way they did it in the 1800s. It was wrong. Slavery was wrong. We were wrong to get mixed up in it, but the North invaded the South, and the most 99% of Southerners never owned a slave, but their homeland was invaded. They were just trying to defend themselves against the North, burning their homes. We were like Afghanistan and Iraq. We were just crazy in the 1860s. It was wrong, but it happened faster than a cat can lick its, well, you know what I'm saying.
Right. Okay. Well, actually, fast. Yeah, about Fort Pillow. I know you say he was not in command, but I heard from older people in that community that there was a mass grave of women and children who was also victims of that massacre, supposedly.
No, it never happened. The U.S. Army and the U.S. government, they did a court of inquiry. General Forrest, 100% innocent. Okay. They would have nailed him to a cross if he had done anything wrong. There were numerous courts of inquiry. They were looking for things. They couldn't find one iota of wrong the man has ever done. He's never belonged to the Klan. Okay. That's all the lie and propaganda. His only sin was he was effective. He won battles. He defeated the Northern armies time after time after time. He was an effective winner of battles. The U.S. Army goes down to Bryce's Crossroads every year now, and they study his battles. He was a winner of battles. That was his cardinal sin. No politics, nothing wrong ever been attached to his name. That's just propaganda. He was out there in front. He was a name that everyone recognized.
Okay, I want to ask you this. Like you mentioned, he was Dr. Martin Luther King of the cause, right?
Of the Southern people. He was known as the defender of the Southern people. They built this statue in 1905. The South was destroyed. The economy was destroyed. The women of the South raised the money for this statue, and I believe $18,000, which would be close to $1 million. Now, they raised this with the butter and egg money, the widows and the orphans. This was a terribly impoverished area. The poor people of the South, they raised this money pennies at a time to commemorate their hero, the defender of the South.
Let me ask this, because Dr. King was actually killed a couple of blocks from here, the real Dr. King.
If they had met, they would be friends.
Well, Ida B. Wells also ran out of town. She's from Mississippi. She was ran out of town. Her newspaper office was burned down on Bill Street.
That's right.
And this is a town that's 70% black. By some estimates, this is the poorest big city in America. So why should a town that's 70% African-American be paying for the upkeep of a man who was not necessarily a friend of the African-American people?
Well, I think he was a friend of the black people. The black people that knew him in the war, he had hundreds of black wagon drivers. They were free black men, all volunteers. They were his friends. He had thousands of black friends. When he died, in his funeral procession, thousands of black people did not have to be there. He was a friend of the South, black and white.
He had three blacks that wore gray uniforms during the Civil War.
He was a friend of all Southerners. He was American. He's the best we've yet produced in the military arm there. If he and Dr. King had met, they would be friends. They had the same aims. They were a friend to all, and they believe in helping all people, regardless of color.
Okay.
Dr. King said there wasn't any color. We're all Americans.
I would say 90 to 95% of your Confederate soldiers that fought in the war did not own one slave to his name. Wouldn't you say?
That's right. That's right. People at the time were saying if they'd only known it's going to be such a big war and so much trouble, they would pick their own damn cotton.
Can't say nothing about him.
Well, I mean, it was wrong. It's wrong. We know it's wrong.
Let me just make one statement.
Okay, go ahead.
Our Republican system was meant for a homogeneous people. As long as blacks continue to live with the whites, they constitute a threat to the national life. Family life may also collapse. An increase of mixed breed bastards may someday challenge the supremacy of the white man. Now, who said that?
Was that Lincoln?
Abraham Lincoln. Lincoln.
Okay, well, he come play. Everybody's come play. So, man, I
Now,
got slave owners on my
should
money.
we tear his statue down? Now that's a negative comment in my
No, I'm
opinion.
gonna ask y'all
I
this.
believe we should tear his
different time.
statue
It's
down if we're going
But
to tear
this
his
is
down.
buried. He wanted to be buried in Elmwood, from my understanding. He wanted to stay buried with his man in Elmwood Cemetery. So is it like going against his commands to be buried out here on this street?
I never heard him say that.
Well, that's what they say. I don't know. I wasn't there either. But let me ask you this about this is a very trying week for America. You know,
It
with the
is,
police
it is.
brutality,
You're
people
right.
talking about race war, then the divide in the country is very serious. And what can you do moving forward? What should we do as Americans?
I'd like
as
to
concerned
quote.
citizens?
I'd like to quote the late great Rodney King.
Okay,
Can't we all just get along?
this is a good question.
It is. It is.
So what does it take for us to get along? What's the solution?
We're all in the same boat. We sink or swim together. We are all Americans. I mean, there are people just beyond the shores that don't like any of us. They're not looking at black and white. All they see is America.
We love the history of this because we portray both Union and Confederate.
Okay.
Just like we were at Helena, Arkansas for a living history about 3 weeks ago, and we all wore blue uniforms. We, put the blue on as proud as we do the gray, in my opinion.
And what's the name of y'all
We're
organization?
the First Mississippi Cavalry.
All right, thank y'all so much for being
Yes,
good
sir.
sports. I appreciate it.
Are you from Memphis?
I'm from Memphis. Y'all pay taxes on the statue.
I'm proud.
Bro, that's
Well,
what you
think about General Forrest as your friend.
All right.
That's the message. He defended all Southern people. When the Yankee armies came through, they burned up the black houses too. They didn't discriminate. I mean, when the economy was destroyed, the black people didn't leave here after the war, did it?
Okay.
They suffered right along with the white people. They're still suffering. They suffered
In the words of Dr.
disproportionately.
King, we can live together as
That's
brothers or perish together as fools. But
It's
we in
like
this together.
when the nation catches cold, the black people get the flu. I mean, it's
You
not
lying
fair.
about that,
It's,
right. Oh, your Zika virus now. I guess.
That's right. It is fair. It's very unfair, but black people and white people have all worked together to make America great. I mean, there's been a lot of people pulling together. We've won wars. We defeated much worse foes. Think of Nazi Germany. Where'd we be if they had gotten here?
Well,
Or
a
the
lot of people think
Japanese?
this is the fourth Reich coming on with all these mass shootings and whatnot.
It was terrible.
Kind of the night of the long knives and all the stuff that Hitler and them did, the
It
brown
was
shirts, the
terrible.
essays.
It is. It
and
is.
power. All right, so I'll let y'all be, unless somebody else have a crack at it. Thank you so much for being good sports.
When folks start killing, they can't stop.
Okay, killing machine.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
That's your brother. It's me. That was 2016. That was the summer 2016. Y'all know what was going down with the shooting, the Black Lives Matter shooting down with Michael Johnson down in Dallas. And then you had this stuff going on with Philando Castile and the brother in Baton Rouge. I can't think of his name right now, who was selling CDs, and the police they killed him. So it was very tense. And also, there was a campaign year. Trump, make America great again. And now he mentioned Bryce Crossroads down in Mississippi. I've been there actually, like, when did I go there? Think back right before everything went to crap in 2020. And man, look, he talk about some, Dr. King and Nathan Bedford Forrest have been friends. I don't think so. Man, I could be wrong, but Nathan Bedford Forrest, like, you see how they do the whitewashing, how they believe in what they're doing. They'll fight on a lie. They'll defend the lie. And they go there annually, dressed up in their Civil War uniforms, playing soldier and stuff like that, and telling that stuff. And I'll tell you right now about Nathan Bedford Forrest, the speech that he's referring to, he did from the Independent Order of Pole Bearers Association. See, I got that right. You can find this online. It was to the Independent Order of Pole Bearers Association. He did on July 5th, 1875. That was kind of like his Booker T. Washington compromise speech. Booker T. Washington did the compromise speech down in Atlanta about the 1895. It's kind of like his compromise speech, basically saying, I think the Negroes, the black folks, should have a chance to have equal access as long as they play by the rules. If they got the talent and ability, they can rise, let them rise, right? And then at the end of the meeting, this beautiful black woman allegedly came up to him with a bouquet of flowers and gave him a kiss, I think, on his cheek or something like that. Y'all look it up. There's two things I love: chocolate and flowers. Chocolate and flowers. I made that one up, but he did love that chocolate woman. His great-great-grandson is a chocolate dude named Douglas Turner Ward. But I mean, these white folks, they live in fantasy world. But I just, people say, Ron, were you scared? I said, no. Because I'm gonna tell you something was interesting. When I was in college at Washington University, went to this thing called the Scholars in the Arts banquet Now it made it to a luncheon by the time I graduated, but it was an opportunity for the sponsors of scholarships for the art school to meet the people they were sponsoring. And one of the donors was a big time donor for some scholarships there. He was a white man with deep pockets. I'm not going to ever forget this. I can't recall his name. I guess it was so traumatic for me. I don't know, but I ain't gonna never forget the conversation. But if they showed me a picture of, I'm like, oh, that's the guy, you know. But we was talking about, this was like back in, what was it, 98? I was fresh. I think they had it in the fall semester of 98. It was like right around time when Mark McGuire and Sammy Sosa was going for the home run record, for the single season home run record. So I was in a good time to be in St. Louis because, like, you know, I was there when Mark McGuire, you know, got 70 home runs, and I was there when the Rams won their Super Bowl and went back and lost to the Patriots. I was there for all of that. So it was a great time. Then the rise of Nelly, I was there for all of that. So it was a great time to be in St. Louis. But there's a thing, at this thing, I talked to this white man. We was talking about baseball. We were talking about the history of baseball and all that stuff. And then I told him I was from Memphis. And then somehow the conversation went from talking about baseball to talking about the Civil War. And then he said something to the fact, you know who's my favorite person from the Civil War, my biggest hero from the Civil War? I said, no, who's your biggest hero? He said, General Nathan Bedford Forrest. And I'm thinking to myself, I've been knowing my Nathan Bedford Forrest since I was in grade school. I told this man I was from Memphis. And he know about that statue and they little symbol of white supremacy they got there on Union Avenue. I know he probably been to some of those Nathan Bedford Forrest birthday celebrations. Probably was a sponsor of those. And he said, "Yeah, you know why I like him?" I said, "Why you like him?" I was playing stupid, even I know who the guy he was talking about was. I said, it was surreal. And he was basically telling me, he was a military genius. He didn't go to military schools, but got military academies throughout the world that still study what he did on horseback when he was a Cavalier leader. And so, like, what he did on horseback, they actually translated into like tank maneuvers and stuff. Matter of fact, we're talking about Bryce Crossroads, whatever, down Mississippi. Legend has it that Ernst Rommel, the Desert Fox, the tank general genius for the Nazis, they say he came to America to visit the Civil War battlegrounds where Nathan Bedford Forrest fought. And they claim he went down to Mississippi to visit Bryce Crossroads, whatever they call it, right? So, like, his son, like Ernest Rommel's son, said he didn't do that. He probably did came over here because Nazis in America got a special relationship. You understand? This research operation paperclip. Before this white man to tell me that, it just really blew my mind. It just stayed with me. It was traumatizing. I didn't respond to it. I didn't know what to do. I'm a freshman. I knew who this guy was. And this dude basically telling me, hey, this guy I love so much, he killed your people. He enslaved your people. He raped your people. But I'm going to throw it in your face. And I'm one of the biggest donors at the art school. I don't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with that. I was 18. So we don't really prepare our people for those type of encounters because a lot of us don't know about the history. I just so happen to know. I don't know what he's trying to test my knowledge. He's trying to see how I will react. But even in that situation with the white man, the Civil War reenactors, that guy was not the best spokesperson for his position on his perspective because BS, I know the truth about who Nathan Bedford Forrest was and is and his legacy. Tomorrow is the birthday of Al Green. He was born over there April 13th, on either say 1946 or 47, April 13th in Forest City, Arkansas. Forest City, Arkansas was named after Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was the founder of Forest City, Arkansas. That's the same place where T.I. went to do his Fed time for those gun charges. He went over to Forest City, Arkansas. Majority black population. That town was founded by Nathan Bedford Forrest. So you take down statues, but yet he got a town across the river that's in his name that he founded. He got a park here. He got a state park in Tennessee, maybe 5,000 acres. I forgot, 2,500 to 5,000 acres named Nathan Bedford Forrest Park. And y'all talking about we going to take down the statue. Yeah, we did it. Yeah, that's right. You still got private prisons thriving. He's one of the founders of private prisons because he had black convict slave labor on President's Island. President Allen's in the river between Arkansas and Tennessee, Memphis. So it still exists. But what I'm saying is, We want to whitewash everything on both sides. We need to know about this stuff. You need to know where you at all times. But you know where you came from. You know what I'm saying? So the white man, he said that. And that's I just, wow. Okay, I know about this guy. Why he would tell me, like, what he's trying to tell me by telling me this? It's like you telling a Jewish person, I'm a big fan of Hitler. I love Adolf. You want to know why? That's how he treated me. I was like, it was weird. But anyway. With Dr. Short, his channel, from my understanding, got canceled, but he got a backup channel. So I don't know what's going on with Dr. Short. You know, he got a backup channel that he could use, but I don't know what's going on. There's a lot of people actually have been getting rid of and all that. But to me, I'm gonna run my race. I let him run his race. You know what I'm saying? Like the many blessings, a piece of Dr. Short. It's a fine line. It's a game that we play. This game we play, and I'm looking at the long term and stuff I want to do. Before they try to do something to me, I want to get out some information that needs to be getting out. And like stuff like this, we need to talk about this. Like information like this. Because my thing about information is only power when you can utilize it and leverage it. You know, I see a lot of people talking about things like, you know, I indulged the Kid Cudi thing. I didn't really care for it. Like, you know, the stuff that black folks, like the new black media, sometimes the stuff that we indulge in is not the most important things to talk about. I know stuff that I'm talking about right now with the 4 pillar thing is very important because we need to be aware of the receipts that are available. So when you talk about reparations, you could know, well, you know, they did this to us at 4 pillow because 4 pillow didn't supposed to be open. The union kept it open because they were using it as a black marketplace. They were using to move contraband, like the government does today. Who really are the biggest drug traffickers? Is it Ray Ray and Pookie on the block, or is it the feds? You know, like they said, one of the reasons why Franklin Roosevelt wanted to get involved in World War II was to get back control of the Golden Triangle, you know, the drug trade over there in Southeast Asia, because his maternal grandfather was one of the biggest drug dealers in American history. His name was Warren Delano Jr. That's how he made a family fortune, by selling opium to the Chinese. So they said one of the reasons why Franklin Roosevelt wanted to get involved in World War II was get back control of the Golden Triangle. Just like with Afghanistan war, we still fighting Afghanistan 20 years going on this year, right? You know, the Taliban was actually suppressing the opioid trade. They was suppressing all that, and so, you know, the Taliban used to be the friend of our country. You know, when George W. Bush was governor, they visited Texas. They visited Texas as guests of Governor George W. Bush before he became president. And this is covering Michael Moore. We got the same birthday, me and Michael Moore. He was born April 23rd. Well, it's Fahrenheit 9/11. He covered how the Taliban were guests of honor of Governor George Bush, who was the governor of Texas at the time. Same thing with Pearl Harbor. Pearl Harbor, it'd be like with the 80th anniversary of Pearl Harbor, this December 7th. The guy who was the so-called mastermind behind Pearl Harbor, Admiral Yamamoto, went to Harvard University. He studied at Harvard University, and we taught him how to fly airplanes. Kind of like, you know, what's coming up the 20th anniversary of, like, where did them guys learn how to fly those airplanes? They didn't want to learn how to land. They just want to learn how to take off. They didn't care about landing. But I mean, Dr. Short, he's still around. I get stuff. I'm saying, like, he got a backup channel, and that's on him. You know what I'm saying? But we all got to run our races the way we run our races. Yeah, but the Taliban was suppressing. They most definitely was suppressing the drug trade. But I mean, at the end of the day, we got is black people. It's time to understand and understand where we at as a people within the confines of this system, and learn how to. Now, you know, the stuff's going on in Minnesota. Riots don't solve anything. A riot never solved anything. You know, it's like they just want you to just burn up all this energy so you could tire yourself out and go back to business as usual. I don't endorse this rioting and stuff. I think, you know, I don't endorse it. I know that riots supposed to be the language of the unheard, according to MLK. It has not benefited us as a people. It has not. So I'm running 2 hours. Damn, jeez. I thought I'd be off by this time. Yeah, I'm gonna play what Judge Joe Brown had to say about Fort Pillow and Nathan Bedford Forrest. Judge is like a military historian. He knows his stuff. Judge is very thorough. So we'll play that. It's We All Be News Free.
Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
Joe, let me ask you about this. I know you like a military historian as well too, and you told me earlier that the Fort Pillow massacre could have been avoided. Yeah, because we're working on some things to commemorate the memory of the victims of Fort Pillow massacre.
That was a tragic situation. Mm-hmm. What went down was this: the Confederacy occupied what was Fort Pillow because the way the Mississippi ran around it, it gave them a great opportunity to use it as a choke point to restrict Union naval traffic on the river. Mm-hmm. Well, when Grant used the Union Navy in collaboration with his ground units to take control of Tennessee, there was no need for Fort Pillow because there was a high bluff right behind it, which allowed a land army to shoot down into Fort Pillow. That's why the Confederates abandoned it. So General Grant ordered the fort closed down since it was useless. Well, unbeknownst to him, there were some Union officers who were smuggling contraband cotton. So they opened the fort back up without permission and put black folk in there so they could smuggle the cotton. So when Nathan Bedford Forrest decides he's going to invest the fort, the problem with it being a fort, trying to defend against something on land, becomes obvious. They shoot down. Well, Nathan Bedford Forrest forces had encountered black soldiers up in the Nashville area and up in northwest Tennessee and got their butts kicked. So he was very irate about ex-slaves doing, and he, the massa, who at the time had been the wealthiest and largest slave trader in the U.S. South. So there's a great deal to be said that he decided to punish these Negroes for making him look bad, particularly after they ran him out of Franklin, had run him out of Franklin a few weeks before. Mm-hmm. So he just says they got out of control, but that's the commander's responsibility to make sure his troops don't get out of control. So they did some war crime type stuff on black troops at Fort Pillow. And yet they've got him down here in Medical Center Park with his bones and those of his Stutsy wife, buried under that equestrian statue, lording it over what is now known as Nathan Bedford, not Nathan Bedford,
Health Sciences
Nat
Park.
Turner Park.
Nat Turner Park, yeah, the People's Park. Yeah,
it's Medical Center Park, I think, officially, but that stuff needs to be removed, sent to some Confederate War Museum. They were all traitors. We forgave them. They got amnesty and move on. But in a majority black city, you don't need a statue on Union Avenue prominently displayed in front of the medical center of the biggest slave trader in the South. And if you go downtown on the southeast corner of the street across from the old courthouse, there is a National Register plaque that says, on this spot, Nathan Bedford Forrest and his partner Maples ran the biggest slave dealing business in the old South. And that Maples is the great-grandfather of somebody named Ray Maples, who used to be president of the Memphis Patrolmen's Association.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Way catch it, boy.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff in there. It's
That was
the
fascinating.
backstories we don't know about.
I was always curious about this Maples because he was like a silent partner or something like the way it made it sound. We know so much about Ford.
He wasn't the silent partner.
Okay. Wow. So this is what
he did most of the active trading, going around finding the slaves to get brought to the brokerage house, the slave warehouse. I've got a habit of calling 201 Popular the slave warehouse for Shelby County, the Maple Forest operation.
I definitely hear you on that.
Judge in the house. Judge in the house. All right, that was Judge Joe Brown, the Honorable Judge Joe Brown, dropping some game. Action known as Health Sciences Park now. But it is what it is. But it's a lot. Like I said, let's go into our We All Be TV playlist about Nathan Bedford Forrest and the Fort Pillow Massacre. Like I got hours and hours of this video on the subject matter of Nathan Bedford Forrest as well as the Fort Pillow Massacre. And you see, I get all the sides. I got historians, I got other people, pros and cons. All right, about some people said, and now with the white guy who said that Nathan Bedford Forrest and Dr. King will be friends, right? He claims that the Congress exonerated Nathan Bedford Forrest and the Confederates in the so-called Fort Pillow massacres. That is far from being true. They came down here to talk to the participants and survivors. The Congress did. They sent an inquiry to come down here to interview people. And even the Confederates who were honest said it was a massacre. They were talking about how babies were getting their heads bashed in and stuff like that. And how black folks were getting their eyes bayoneted. They were poking black men's eyes out, burying them in graves and setting them on fire and stuff like that. They would not let them surrender. And there's been a controversy around saying that the U.S. colored troops of the Union Army would not surrender. But, this is like a year after the Emancipation Proclamation. And, if you know the history of the Civil War, you know that the Confederacy said, you know what? We're not going to take these black guys as prisoners of war. We're going to treat them as traitors and we're going to kill them. So really, they had no choice but to fight to the death. But they try to surrender and, you see what happens. They get them set on fire, getting their eyes poked out and stuff like that. Now, there's a lot of videos I got set up here. I ain't going to be able to play everything, I guess, tonight. Because we'll be here all night because I got so much information on here just from We All Be TV. So we actually doing the work. You see me interviewing these folks on their ground, on their level, on their horses, right? Back in the day, they've been dragging me behind them horses. Said, boy, what you say? You one of them smart Negroes. We're going to have to drag. We're going to teach you a lesson, Niagara. Times have changed a little bit. So let me see. There's so much stuff I wanted to play. But we'll be here for like 2-3 more hours. I'm just going to pick a little bit. It's okay. We'll balance it out. We have the daughter of the South, of the Confederacy, give her take on everything. And you got to look at it. You gotta commend these white folks for sticking to the story, right? Once they decide to spend this, they're going to spend it. They're going to be committed to the role. They deserve Emmys and Oscars for how they really are trying to stick to the script. But this is We All Be. It's News Free Dixie for the 21st century. Telling like a TI is. We are the vanguard of the new black media. I don't care what nobody say. Who putting in this type of work? Who is putting in this work in for the people, man? We up there going to Klan rallies and everything. They ain't gonna say there's no proof of him being a part of the Klan. I mean, he's the first Grand Wizard. Come on. I told y'all him and Albert Pike was Ace Boone Coons, right? Albert Pike was the founder of the Klan. They all lived in Memphis.
This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News. News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
Look it up.
Okay.
I'm telling you, you verify everything I'm telling you.
Yes, ma'am. I will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
sweet.
it.
Send me a
Could you
picture.
give me your card?
I want to actually get your opinion. Like,
Yes,
he is a Confederate hero.
He
He's
is.
somebody that people admire and
Yes, sir.
respect.
Yes, sir.
In a town, I mean, he's got a very complicated history when it comes to African Americans and Black people.
Well, so they say.
So they say. So a town that's like a 70% Black by some estimates. You got, you know, a couple of blocks from here where Dr. King got assassinated, and a couple of blocks from here is Ivy Wells got her newspaper office burned down and ran out of the South. Should a town that's 70% Black be responsible for the upkeep of this memorial tribute to Nathan Bedford Forrest?
I think that the town should honor all its history, and here's why: you only getting what people want you to know.
Okay.
There's more to the story. There's always two sides to every story. Are we supposed to believe that everybody in the Black Lives Matter is a thug?
Right, I hear you.
That's not fair. It's not fair. So my answer to you, and the most honest way that I can put it is, history should be honored for what it is and what it was.
Okay.
And learn more about it, because there's probably a little bit more to it that you just don't know.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That's a good answer.
Is that fair?
You were talking about, you know, the Muslims, like the violent nature of Islam. You talking about Christianity, they do things that might be violent in the name of Jesus.
They do. And Jesus never told them. They are going directly against what the Bible clearly teaches.
So I want to
Love
ask
your enemy.
Yeah, I want to ask
Pray
you.
for them that despitefully use you.
What about, okay, you look at people like an abolitionist like John Brown, who was very religious.
Oh my Jesus.
Or Nat Turner, who was a preacher.
Wait a minute. Now, I'm glad you said that. Did you know that the very first man killed in the John Brown raid was a free Black man?
Right, no, yeah, I went to Hoppers Ferry, about 2 years ago, yeah.
And you know that.
Yeah,
they didn't care if they was Black. They didn't care if they was white. These people are murdering innocent people. Okay, if you want to go there.
Okay.
What did an innocent child do laying in his bed?
But war, like little Nathan Bedford Forrest, you win at all costs. You had war.
That wasn't war. That was terrorism.
So you don't think that Nathan Bedford Forrest was a terrorist for?
Not at all. He was defending his family. As I told you, 46 Black men. He had it was in his force escort. I've got their pension applications, which I will send you, and you can read them for yourself. George Dance is one of them.
Okay.
But all of these people stayed with General Forrest. They stayed with him. What they were hoping, now that you said slave insurrection, Lincoln and his freaking minions were hoping that there would be a slave insurrection. Who do you think took care of the women and children of the slave owners when they were at the war?
The Black people, right?
Exactly. We were family. Family. It's a little different. Okay. As a matter of fact, one of my buddies is Lachlan Seabrook.
Okay.
And he's written a book. He's very well documented, very well footnoted and researched. He's got a book this thick, and it's called Everything You Were Taught About American Slavery Is Wrong, Ask a Southerner. One of the things that he has proven is some of the slaves, we never called them that, by the way. We call them servants. Some of the slaves were business owners in their own right. Your work day was from whatever time to whatever time. You had free time in the afternoon on weekends. So if you were a seamstress, you could be hired out for this plantation for a wedding coming up. But whatever they did, they grew produce, they had dairy, sold milk and eggs, and they made money. And they were very wealthy. And they stayed on the plantation. And as their family members came of age, whatever age it was, they were emancipated and given a sum of money to start their own businesses. And their granddaddies or whoever stayed on the plantation because, heck, why would he pay for anything when he could stay right there?
Right.
And these people were being emancipated hand over fist. As I told you, the South had 25,000 more free persons of color than the North did. That is proven by the 1860 census in one of the archivists for the United Daughters of the Confederacy. You're not told that, though. The largest slave owner in the state of South Carolina was a Black man.
Right.
You see, it's all designed to control what you think.
Okay.
And again, I would just give you, and I'll give you whatever I've got. I'll be glad to share it with you.
Okay.
I won't try to convince you one way or the other. I'm just giving you the other side of the story that you are not told.
I appreciate that.
I appreciate that. I'm trying to defend my father.
Well, you could do it. You're doing a good job. That's why I put you on a debate with somebody.
I'm glad you interviewed her versus me, and I'm basically.
I mean, you a copycat, I'm sure.
So this is what you're dealing with. I mean, people spinning history. I wasn't there. She wasn't there. You know, go by sources and whatever. You come to your own conclusions. And she's talking about John Brown, but hey, war is hell. Like John Brown said in his trial, if I was doing this on behalf of rich white people, y'all would consider me a hero. But now y'all see me as a terrorist and a monster. I'm just paraphrasing that. It's like what Colin Powell said on Meet the Press some years ago. He said, when you declare war, you call off civilization. So all bets are off when it comes to how you treat certain people, civilians included, right? And we know that the unions were not saints. We know that, because we know about the Devil's Punch Bowl down in Natchez, Mississippi, where 20,000 black folks died in a damn swamp in a punch bowl by the Mississippi River, right? 20,000 black people. This the union did this to black people, the so-called saviors of black people. And black folks were not considered human beings. We were called contraband. We was always property. We was more valuable as property than we are as people. Some of the first commodities traded on Wall Street were who? Were so-called black people. And like I want to talk about our people are interested because people said we got to stop using the word black because it's death. I said if they could turn the word gay into what it is now, because gay used to be happy. Now gay means something else. We as the universal people, we were very well connected. Words create worlds. We could make black mean prosperity. Because in business terms, the being the black is the being good standing, right? We're in the black. When you're in the red, that means you losing money, you leaking money, you bleeding money. But to be in the black in business is good. Always bet on blackjack, right? As black folk, we are our own worst enemy. Because what you consider a curse is really a blessing. It's a blessing in disguise. So y'all think that we curse because we call ourselves black, but black is a blessing. Black is the cosmos, man. So my thing is to reclaim what you want. You claim your name. Oh, there's no such thing as a black country. Let's create a blacker land. You got a Scotland, you got an Ireland, where the Irish come from. You got a Scotland, where the Scottish come from. You got an England, where the English come from. Where's the black land? Let's make a blacker land. See, y'all don't understand the power. This is what I'm saying. Like I'm showing y'all white folk psychology, ground zero. This is what they do. They dress up. They remember the lost cause. They reclaim the so-called lost cause. Then they spin it. They got you thinking that Nathan Bedford Forrest was actually like Dr. King. See, their hero is a terrorist, is a war criminal, is an enslaver, is a rapist, and it's okay. But Dr. King, all non-violent, turn the other cheek. I had a dream. Dr. King was no general like that. Well, Dr. King acted like how Nathan Bedford Forrest treated us. See, black folk, we love. See, look at it right now. We love to elevate the victims. We look down on the killers, right? But white folks love to elevate their killers. They love their General Pattons and stuff, and Nathan Bedford Forrests and General Custers and stuff, and MacArthurs. We like to, oh man, they choked them out, man. I got it on my Instagram and TikTok. We are lost people, man. We are lost people. Y'all talking about what they did to that old boy in Virginia, that Afro-Latino, whatever y'all will call him. He was black that day. I don't care if he's Latino, Spanish, or whatever. You were black that day in uniform. Y'all don't even know about the story of Isaac Woodard. I think his brother named Isaac Woodard, who was blinded by the sheriff. When he came home from World War II, this guy was a decorated World War II veteran. He was in his uniform. And the sheriff took him out the Greyhound bus. They beat him. He hit his eyes with his nightstick. They were just poking at his eyes. They didn't give him no proper medical treatment right away. The man went blind. This was a decorated soldier. He was in his uniform, victim of police brutality. They blinded that brother. The sheriff did, of this little small hick town down in South Carolina. And PBS just did a documentary, came out about the blinding of Isaac Woodard. I don't know if it was Woodward or Woodard. Look it up, because like the reason why it became well known was because Orson Welles, Orson Welles, War of the Worlds, broadcast, and also Citizen Kane, the brilliant creative genius Orson Welles, he had a very popular radio show. He covered what happened to Isaac Woodard. And then President Harry Truman, President Harry Truman was thinking about joining the Klan out there in Kansas City, but his political mentor was Tom Pendergast, one of the most powerful political bosses of all time. He ran the Kansas City machine. He was a Catholic. The Klan they were anti-Catholic. So out of respect for the fact of the guy who gave him his career. But no, because it's because of Tom Pendergast that Truman was able to become president, because he basically made him a senator. And Truman actually attended Pendergast's funeral, although by the time when he died, he was disgraced. And he went to prison for income tax evasion. So a lot of his so-called political friends thought he was political poison. But Truman was one dude that believed in loyalty. So he went to his funeral. And not too long after that, he became the president of the United States. I think Truman was only vice president for 82 days before he became president. And Truman, the highest degree he had in his life was a high school degree. Truman didn't have no college degree, which is interesting, but he was an interesting president. But he was a product of a big city political machine. So yeah, look up The Blind of Isaac Woodard. I think they got a document. I think the documentary is available at PBS, one day sites. You go to that. But Truman was outraged at what happened to this guy, because Truman was a World War veteran. He was a World War I veteran himself. And he was just outraged that somebody would get treated like this in uniform. He probably didn't care for the fact that he was black, but he was like upset about the fact how they gonna disrespect America. Why you gonna do this to this guy while he's in our uniform? So Truman ended up becoming the first president to speak before the NAACP. And he thought that was going to cost him the election because he was the first president. I mean, Truman was the guy who would think about joining the Klan now. This is Truman. High school degree, Truman, right? No college degree. Was not well educated like a Franklin Roosevelt who went to Harvard University. He actually was the first president to speak, a sitting president to speak before the NAACP. He also helped integrate the armed forces. He signed out the executive, order that integrated the armed forces. So he thought he was going to lose his bid for presidency against Thomas Dewey, the governor of New York. No, Thomas Dewey, he became famous because he took down Lucky Luciano, but it was a black woman working for him, Eunice Carter, who gave him the blueprint to take down Lucky Luciano, who was arguably the most powerful mob boss or mafia boss, at least a mafia boss in American history. So he was governor and he was running against Truman. There's that famous photo of Truman holding up the newspaper, I think the Chicago Tribune or something, saying that Dewey defeats Truman and Truman won. Because Truman actually, I think, went to sleep, thought he lost the election, but came to find out he won. So it is what it is. And thank you, Sister Midnight Green. We love you madly. When you said it, remember what Baba Dick Gregory would say. He said, white is an attitude. If you don't got enough dollars in the bank, you can't be white, And white supremacy is a religion. It's not the system. I don't look at the system being white supremacy. It's the religion. You got some practitioners of the system, like people who benefit from the system. Some of them are white supremacists, but not all of them are white supremacists. Like, it go back to why I said, well, all whites are racist, not because they hate you, but because they are a group of privilege. It's not about hate with racism. It's about power and access. White supremacy is a different story. That's how I look at it. I can't say everybody agree with me on that, but that's how my perspective is on it. Because it'd be foolish for us to want to be a part of a white supremacist system if you're not benefited, if you're not the beneficiary of said system. If the system does not benefit you, why you keep on destroying yourself for their benefit? It's again now. Let me just. It's about to be 11 o'clock. Jesus, 11 o'clock Central Time. Let me just wind it down. I get all carried away. But look up The Blind of Isaac Woodard. I think his name's Woodard or Woodard or Woodward or whatever. But y'all know what I'm talking about. I got y'all in the ballpark. What else could I play before I get out of here? Yeah, I'm gonna play. I think I could close it. I'm gonna play this thing. It's interesting because this is back in 2016. Like I said, it was crazy because it's right after the Michael Johnson thing, and then I think Gavin Long shooting in Baton Rouge, and also Philando Castile and who their brother got killed down. They were selling CDs in the parking lot. They got killed around the same time Philando Castile. Because 2016 was crazy. It was a red hot summer. And so I'm gonna play. I call it the Great Race Debate with Thaddeus Matthews, the baddest man on radio. We know Thaddeus Matthews' birthday was on April 1st, and Thaddeus, to me, he's the closest thing to Al Wells. Now he's a shock jock. He's a Memphis radio pioneer and legend. He's not everybody's cup of tea, but he's real good at getting leads, breaking the leads, breaking stories and stuff, and getting like sources to tell them things within the city political infrastructure. Yeah, Alton Sterling. Thank you. I couldn't think of that, brother. So many people to get killed. Alton Sterling, yes. But with white people, like, look, white folks elevate their killers, man. They love their sociopaths and psychopaths. Black folks we like the, oh man, we've been victimized. Like it's like kind of like we got a fetish for this type of stuff. We love to be, it's like black folks kind of sadistic. We elevate the victims over everything else. No disrespect to the dead. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. The white people, they'll say, well, Nathan Bedford Forrest was a Dr. King. Dr. King was trying to get us free. When Nathan Bedford Forrest trying to enslave folks to look like you and I, if you black, you know what I'm saying? So-called black. So, but white folks say, well, we love our killers, but they say, oh, Nat Turner, he's a bad person, and Nat Turner killing kids and they sleep. I said, well, Nathan Bedford Forrest, they were killing kids at for a pillow. They were selling kids, breaking up families in slavery. So I mean, white folks weird, but yeah, y'all love hanging around white people at all costs. Like what Sunrise said, we were sovereign, y'all gave it up to be with them. And they praise, they worship they murderers. We up here, the victims and stuff. Then our own so-called activists, they don't care about. Oh my God! Let me just play this Great Race Debate. This was too, like I said, some of these black folks in this video footage I had, a lot of them didn't know what was going on, and they found out what this was about. They got all upset. My thing is, don't let your emotion rule your life. It's okay, your emotions that make you human, but learn how to channel that into like something productive. Like, don't always be reactionary, be revolutionary. Be able to we just need to do a lot of studying. But let me just play this, and I'm gonna try to close it out. But I had a lot of other videos I was gonna play, but it's getting late. It's getting late. Okay. So we all be news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
This is Judge Joe Brown, and we're listening to We All Be News, news-free Dixie for the 21st century.
But it's not whoever wins the war. But we don't need to forget our history because why would I fight for?
Oh, I wouldn't be fighting for this government. Hey, they do it. They fucking us too.
And I understand that you a Vic. You a Vic. You a Vic.
Yeah.
So how many? So let me ask you this.
You know how many people I killed?
You went to fight. You went to fight a war
for my brothers.
You went to fight
a war with me. It wasn't for the fucking government.
But they ain't had nothing to do with you though. You should stay your ass at home
with your family.
With your family. It had nothing to do with you.
You said, sir, what's your name, sir? I'm sorry. What's your name?
I don't know, man.
You say you didn't own slaves, slaves?
Will.
Huh?
Will something.
Yeah, but you said he didn't own slaves. He had the biggest Walmart of human beings on Adams Avenue.
Oh, this person
Yeah,
right
he was the biggest slave trade in the country.
The biggest slave trade.
The biggest slave. Well, he's the Sam Walton, not the Jordan slave trade. Yeah, I mean, you admit that.
I
right?
won't deny that. No.
Yeah, but also he's the father of private prison. So on President Allen, he used black slave labor, convict labor to raise hogs and grow cotton. He did it on President Allen's in the 1870s.
Yes, he did.
So I'm saying people being disingenuous when they don't acknowledge his awards. He was a military genius.
You're exactly right.
He was a military genius. I can't take that away from him.
Hey, I will not disagree with you.
Okay, so what do we need to do then? I mean, honestly, what do we need? I mean, this week was a horrible week for everybody.
Well, I think we need to accept the fact that history is history, and it's not pretty. It's brutal. It's bloody.
Right.
It's oppressive. It's tyrannical. But we don't, history's history, and we don't need to forget history because we don't want to repeat it.
We can't repeat. I think his repeat like the season anyway.
Well, we don't want to repeat.
How can we stop from repeating it?
Well,
like Fourth Reich,
by understanding history and being educated on. I'm not saying we don't want to repeat some of it, but we definitely don't want to repeat those dark histories.
But look, you heard about like Operation Northwoods, right?
Yes.
They try to get President Kennedy. They're doing this shit right now. This is what they're doing, these false flags, these mass shootings. But you know that the Department of Homeland Security, they've been in the process of buying a 1.4 billion rounds of bullets. You can have your gun, but goddamn bullets.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm saying like what they doing Jedi mind tricks. Well, we let you have
you know
your
what
guns,
I honestly think? I honestly think they're trying to turn me and you against each other.
Honestly, they trying to implement martial law.
I think so.
That's what they doing.
Me too.
That's what they doing.
Me too.
There won't be no election this year.
Terrorism bullshit, Homeland Security.
Right.
I don't know.
They bound up the bullets. You heard about them bound up the bullets? The police departments can't have enough bullets for target practice?
No,
They
but we
bound up all
can't.
the
I'm
bullets.
not allowed to own 20,000 rounds for my gun and have them at my house. Go shoot on weekends if I want to, but they can have whatever they want. If we're unarmed, it's easier for them to
they
take
let you have
over.
your gun, but have you heard that the Department of Homeland Security since 2012 have about 1.4 billion rounds of bullets? They're buying bullets. Police departments say they can have enough bullets for target practice. They don't have enough bullets for
We're
their guns.
target practice.
And for not only for target, but also just having their gun in
We're
their
target
inventory.
practice. That's right.
Yeah, so
Why
let you have
are
their
they
guns.
armoring up and they're trying to de-armor us?
Oh, because it's martial law coming. They might not be no election this year. I can't vote for either one of them.
9/11, Homeland Security, the three powers of government, all got wrapped up in the Department of Homeland Security.
Right.
Now you got domestic terrorism, martial law. I'm gonna come in. I'm gonna make you work
There's
your
always
farm
an inside job.
and take away
It's
your.
always an inside job. FBI knew about Pearl Harbor.
been
Where
an
did
inside job,
Emerald
man.
Yamamoto went to school?
This shooter that just killed the cops in
the
Dallas,
military.
they didn't catch him. They went in with a claymore on the end of a damn
Like
robot and blew him up. You know what I'm saying? So
military.
we'll never see who that guy was. That guy was government operative, man.
Yeah, Tim McVeigh, Special Forces, John Muhammad, DC sniper, military. Oh, this guy was military. But here's the thing: the guy who planted Pearl Harbor, where he go to school? Yeah, Harvard University. Emerald Yamamoto with we talking about the fly airplanes. This guy who masterminded Pearl Harbor. You know, FDR used to be in the U.S. Navy. He used to work for the U.S. Navy, assistant secretary of the Navy. They know about Pearl Harbor. They knew about 9/11.
I'm not big on all the details and shit.
I'm telling you, we train our own terrorists.
Yeah.
Robert E. Lee went to West Point. We train our terrorists.
They're right. It's government, man. It's
right.
We're all mad at each other.
That's why you know how Dan Forrest.
Everybody's mad at whatever. Right? Think of it this way: the government is the one that's been in control from the get-go.
Right.
They allow all that shit to happen because their pockets get lined. Right?
Yeah.
So fuck us. It's easier if we're worried about each other, what each other's doing, and we're stuck on it, right?
They can clean up the horse shit, not the taxpayers.
Then they can do whatever they want to do. The media, you don't ever hear
I sweep
man got killed, this, that, and the other. It's black versus white.
They're trying to start a race war.
Right. They want to keep us fighting. I called Fox 13 when the boy got killed in Memphis.
Well, Darius Stewart or which
yeah,
one?
The one in Memphis. No, the one that got shot, the one that tried to hit the cop or whatever, something like that. Back, whatever. It had nothing to do with justice for him or this, that, and the other. I called Fox 13. And I said, man, how come I didn't hear about these two black guys that beat the shit out of old man, stole his car, and kept him in the car for like a week? How come it wasn't black versus white then? Nobody got killed. Or exact fucking words. And I said, you know what, man?
You know what? I'm gonna tell you something too. Somebody told me
they're trying to keep us fighting.
You know when they release the most important news, what day of the week they release the most important news? Friday. Because they figure the weekend you'll forget about this shit by the time the weekend rolls around. So the most important shit you need to know back in the news cycle is released on Friday.
Look at it this way. Like watch MSNBC.
That's bullshit too.
It is bullshit. It is bullshit. It's all government controlled.
Right.
I watch it because it's like
you don't post this propaganda. It's like running around Hershey.
It's what they say. It's what they want you to think.
Yeah.
MSNBC is primarily liberal, right?
Mm-hmm, supposedly.
Yeah, well, it's government
Roger
control.
A.L. started both of them. He's like sexual harassment lawsuit. He started
Look at it this way.
MSNBC and Fox.
The little shit, how pissed off they get because of Trump. And then Hillary doing what she's doing.
She's supposed to be in jail. I agree with you.
Right. Yeah. Right in front of our faces. He got caught getting on the plane. Right? Oh, no, that didn't happen. They were talking about their grandkids. Oh, okay. That was okay. Yeah, right. And then, boom, the FBI. Yeah, we didn't find no evidence to charge her. Yeah, we can't.
What made me upset was after that guy had killed all those people in the church.
Yeah,
How dare he bring the Confederate flag into a situation like that? The flag had nothing to do with it.
Look,
it is a man who is a
weak-minded boy. It was a weak-minded boy that, with his testosterone, his hormones, and whatever the fuck he had running through him, being a teenage
kid. The minute they showed that picture on the media, I became so sad. All hell's gonna break loose.
Do you know where they caught him at, right? You know he was caught in Shelby, North Carolina. You know the significance of that?
No.
Shelby, North Carolina is the home birthplace of Thomas Dixon. You know who he was?
My memory's hazy.
He wrote The Klansman, which led to the resurrection of the Klan. It led to the movie Birth of a Nation. Thomas Dixon was born in Shelby, North Carolina. He was a classmate of Woodrow Wilson, I believe, at Wake Forest, or John Hopkins, one of them. But his book, The Klansman, led to the resurrection of the Klan. It was the inspiration for the Birth of a Nation movie.
Okay.
So they won't tell you that in the media. They won't tell you no type of story like July the 10th. Today's date, when they let down the Confederate flag from South Carolina, is the birth date of Mary McLeod Bethune, a South Carolinian, one of the most important figures this country ever produced. She started the Bethune-Cookman College down in Daytona, Florida. She actually stood down in the Klan with just some girls that went to her school. On her own, became an important advisor to FDR and Harry Truman in that cabinet. So today is her birthday. And we don't even know who the hell she is anymore. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's so important to study this stuff because it's like so many things they won't tell you.
They miss all the little details.
They do it on purpose though, because they want us at each other's throats.
They're not missing the details; they're leaving them out.
Like you read the book Secrets of the Federal Reserve, right?
Check this out. Check it out. The government. Okay, if there's nobody governing the government,
right?
How can we determine or how can we prove what they're telling us is true? Whatever they say is true.
Yeah, go live right quick.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm in Facebook jail.
Hey, Daddy, how you doing? Hey, brother. I'm sorry, condolences for you. I'm sweating. I'm sorry, man. It's condolences for your mom, man.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother.
Honor. I gotta get your point of view on this, man. I gotta get your point. You gotta get in front of here. I gotta get your point of view.
My point of view on what?
On this statue, using taxpayer money for the upkeep of this statue, where they closing down schools and charging us to go to build. We paying taxpayer money in a 70% black town for the upkeep of this memorial. And this is day today.
When we gonna knock it down? Miss Lane, you ever heard of?
I don't know. I'm asking you. What's over here doing right now? This week, like we had.
Well, you don't take.
I've never studied that.
You don't take taxpayers' dollars to save a statue of a racist. Okay. We got parks all over this city.
Yes, sir.
We've got things in this community that needs to be taken care of. And we've got taxpayers' dollars watching a statue. Okay, this statue in a city like Memphis, where we're over 80% black, why is Nathan Bedford, what's his name? Forrest. Why is the dead man still in? This is not a cemetery. So if we're talking about bringing things to be fair, I think the city council has already voted to remove the statue. So it's time for the statue to go.
The Tennessee state law protects war memorials. They got a law in the state of Tennessee passed protecting places like this.
So the Tennessee law is more protective of the rights of a dead man than it is the lives of folk who are still alive and taxpayers.
Wouldn't it be the same kind of thing though? Me taking care of that Section 8 housing subdivision?
Well, you
and my tax dollars and my check going to take care of that when nobody in there is working.
Now let me say this. You do realize that there are more white folk on Section 8 than it is blacks in America, don't you?
Hey,
even in welfare. I don't. You know what?
Motherfuckers everywhere, brother. It don't matter what color you are.
I don't agree.
Get your ass
with
out there and work for a
I don't
living,
agree with Section 8 myself.
Right.
Okay. I don't live in Section 8.
Chinese, man.
Okay. I don't agree with Section 8. I have to get up every day and go and work. Okay. I believe that everybody should work, but I also believe that in a city like Memphis, that is 80% African American, why do we need a statue of Nathan Bedford Forrest sit in the middle of the city? City Council has already voted that this needs to be removed. Why not move it to the cemetery? It's dead folk
Why
in
not
there.
leave it be and quit bothering with it and quit worrying about it and quit making a big deal about it?
But see, the thing that you have to understand, no matter what we want to say, racism is very much still alive in Memphis
because we allow it.
And all across the country.
We allow it.
No, it's not because
it's like the subject of this. That's perpetuating the cycle of racism, right?
No.
Yeah. Because he owned slaves or this, that, and the other because he was white and he was black. So we're going against.
I do kind of have a problem with slavery now.
Right.
I do kind of have a problem with the history of
That's
slavery.
history, though.
But here's the problem.
It's in the past. Why can't we let it
No.
live?
It's not in the past. Here's the thing that happens in America. And if we ever decide that we're going to talk about racism, you got to understand.
I wouldn't lose no sleep over it in life.
Well,
You know, but see,
You don't have to. You don't have to.
see, as a white man in America, you're treated differently than a black man in America. It's not equal. You know, yes, it is, sir. See,
not really.
See,
y'all walk around with guns now, find them up in the air, but let us walk around with guns and we got fucking license. It's a fucking problem. How is it that Bancorp South? How is it that Bancorp South gives? I'm just saying though. You said it really ain't a difference though.
You're more than welcome to carry your gun around me. It ain't bother me. No.
It ain't about you.
It is about me.
You ain't the one gonna shoot me down if I walk around with it.
That's him.
It's the other white motherfucker who gonna do this shit.
No, it ain't the white motherfucker.
You a motherfucking lying. The fuck you gonna say that? You a damn liar.
It's a black cop too.
Motherfucking liar.
James, Thaddeus man. Okay, sir.
I'm not a citizen
right now. You know what?
I'm not a citizen. Okay. I'm a Civil War historian.
Okay.
And I have an abstract view of all the history, and I understand why some of this is offensive. And I don't live here, and I don't know that I would agree with taxpayer dollars supporting the upkeep of it. If they want to upkeep it, they need to keep it up themselves. I'm not in favor of removing historical monuments because that's what fascists do. However, I posed the question to him, I'll ask you. Sure. As a historian, I have the utmost respect for the black soldiers. They were referred to then as USCT, U.S. Colored Troops. Hundreds of them from the Memphis area supported the Union cause, emancipation of slavery. I just wonder why, and I'm just asking, why don't black historians and people that embrace the African-American history in the United States, why don't they propose erecting some monuments here to the USCTs that fought and died
because
for your freedom?
Can I make it for you real simple and tell you just how simple it is? It's because in Black America, those who make the decisions for black folk are not in
decisions for white people. Their pockets are getting lined, and they don't give a flying fuck about us. Period.
And that's exactly what's going on.
We're all mad at each other. In the past, the government, city council, all people making the law.
Though, bro, but what I'm asking you is, how can you not be mad about it?
How you doing out here?
How can we not be?
I can't change it.
You can't change it. You trying to justify it. You trying to justify it.
I ain't justifying shit. I'm telling you the past is past.
I got this scar on my knee. I got this scar on my knee when I was about 4 years old, and you can still see the motherfucker.
You still see the one on my forehead. I got split brass knuckles. Okay. You don't see me tripping out over there to hit me.
Slavery is a scar to us, though, bro. You hear me? So we can still see it.
Scars are character. It makes you who you are today. It's just like when you make a mistake, all right? Something happens. Are you going to live on that, feed on the negative and let it just keep dragging you down? Or are you going to go, man, look, this is what we learned. I'm going to be a bigger person. I'm going to fuck up. You know what I'm saying?
But please, what is white privilege? Slavery?
What's black lives? We all matter.
All right, go ahead, please. We just having a conversation, man. We have a conversation.
Everybody split. We don't want any Bill Street talk.
Hey, brother, how you doing, sir?
You said you was down there on
downtown. Take it easy. I got my card. Let me use my card. Yeah, wild and crazy times, man. That was back in 2016, man. Like, you gotta understand, like, that was like right after all this stuff that went down in Dallas with the Black Lives Matter rally, Michael Johnson, then Alton Sterling and Philando Castile. I don't know what Gavin Long, I don't know that took place in Baton Rouge yet, but that's 2016. Where we at right now? You know, you started with the statues, right? Well, in 2015, they started taking down statues and Confederate flags and memorials. Now look where we at. We're in council culture on steroids right now. This is some fascism, Fourth Reich stuff going on in this country. They did have it right, but the thing about it is, it goes back to what Baba Dick Gregory say all the time, or used to say, the elder Baba Dick Gregory. He said, a lot of us as black people, we mad at the wrong white people. The white folks we mad at can't help us if they wanted to. See, it is about divide and conquer, because this system is run on white power. White power is divide and conquer. Black power is unity and solidarity. But the thing about it is that statue's been removed, right? They removed the statue back in December 2017. I never thought I'd see the day they removed that statue. But to me, that's a Pyrrhic victory because Black folks still suffering in Memphis. Like the reason why Judge Joe Brown wants to run or is running for mayor is because Memphis has been made to be a poor town. Memphis is not a poor town. It's engineered to be a poverty town, a warehouse town, a temp agency town, and plantation town. This is the distribution hub of the country. This should be a world-class city. At one point, Memphis had the world's largest cargo airport. I don't know if it changed. I mean, I think Hong Kong got that. That's Memphis that had that. And all the greatness of Memphis, but we got to change this because Black folks are suffering for no good reason because we are an enemy to ourselves because we refuse to understand the history. Now, you see some people, those are young Black people that was in that video I filmed, right? They didn't know the history. They just happened upon, walking upon this thing. What are these Confederate flags and white folks doing here? I told Black folks to meet me down there. See, I'm trying to document this. I got hours and hours of this stuff in my archive. I'm not going to play it all tonight now. You know, I'm running behind. But I just want to get y'all a taste is that I'm doing the work. We doing the work out here. We actually, like dude said, well, where's the monument to U.S. colored troops? We raised money from the community. We got a monument. We got a historic marker with our name on the marker that We All Be Group Incorporated. We got that in the front entrance of the Memphis National Cemetery to honor our ancestors who made the sacrifice. We are doing an annual event. Now, we couldn't do the way we normally did last year with the COVID, but we got the documentary that we did in honor for the year. So we are doing the work here, but yeah, at the same time, it's like, you know, you look at the headlines with the Black Lives Matter or Black Lesbian Mania, as Judge Joe Brown would say. People talking about the houses she brought, one of the founders, all the properties she buying up, and look at Tamika Mallory with the Cadillac and the bag, you know, doing her commercial. But yeah, I just had a friend of We All Be. He passed away quietly. You know, he's not talked about in the Black circles. I'm talking about Alvin Sykes. Like, y'all were amazed to hear about this Black man who had no degree, let alone a high school degree. But yeah, he was one of the finest legal minds in the country, who was the architect behind the Emmett Till cold case bill. This is a dude that did this by going to the library for hours and hours and studying the law. But yeah, you know, a lot of us don't even know him or heard of him. You know, so the world is upside down. So like the people that's actually doing the real work, they don't get no press. They don't get no acclaim. See, I learned what the celebrities, like a lot of us, we like to worship folks that disrespect us. Like if a celebrity, like when Judge Joe Brown talking about allegedly what Tina Turner did to her fans and stuff, how she disrespected people. I wasn't there. Judge is a lawyer. He knows the law. And he hasn't been sued, as far as I know, by Tina Turner or her estate or whatever about these claims. So, but we like when people treat us like crap. That's why we love Democrats so much. I told you, Democrat, they created the Klan. They helped sponsor Jim Crow for decades against black folks. What Joe Biden told y'all, whose mentors were Dixiecrats like James Eastland and John Stennis, Robert Byrd. He said, if you don't vote Democrat, you ain't black. Yeah, y'all gotta be on crack to vote Democrat. I mean, really? Yeah, so definitely so. Yeah, but you gotta learn that at home. I was just blessed that my grandma had that Black History Encyclopedia, so I knew about this stuff. Not because I learned at school. I remember when they used to consider me like the smartest kid in class in 3rd grade, and this dude, this white boy I thought was my friend. I think his name was Sean. And Sean got upset because he would make the honor roll all the time. I used to not even turn my homework in. I'll do my homework sometimes, not turn it in. I don't know what the hell I was doing there. I in 2nd grade, I would do my homework and never turn it in and still pass. I think Miss Bowden just had she liked me. I was, but I remember in 3rd grade, Sean, how he's the smartest student. I make the honor roll all the time. Then this dude, I think his name was Ruben, this black dude said, but yeah, he know about the presidents. He looked at it, but yeah, he know about the presidents though. You don't know about the president like he know about the presidents. So I thought that was funny. So like, my thing is, you gotta learn this from another source. Schools are inadequate in terms of teaching that type of history. Schools are only responsible for teaching you how to navigate through the system, right? Whether it be reading, writing, and arithmetic, stuff like that. Schools are not responsible for you to understand your cultural identity. It's not the responsibility of the school to teach your children about their cultural identity. It's responsibility of the parent and of the village to teach that, instill that in your children. It's like with Judge Joe Brown, he didn't learn about his family history from school. He learned that from his people in his family. And by him doing his research and all this stuff. So what we got to do, we got to encourage that. We got to encourage thinking and research and not always responding. Sometimes being quiet is a gift. Like we always want to respond to everything. Sometimes being quiet, and I don't care for riots at this point. I'm 40, about to be 41. It has not worked. Just like out rioting, because what it does, all it do is tire you out for the real work. Because you're not focused. Because that's why when people riot, they don't know what to do. They have no plan or plan of action. It's just some type of it responds like when a person know they wrong and they want to argue you down. But they know they're wrong. You standing on wrong, you can't win. Unless you control the outcome. If you don't control the system, then you can't win standing on wrong. And my thing is, like, you saw those conversations with the white people. When Thaddeus Matthews says more white folks on welfare than black people, then the dude kind of changed his narrative a little bit. But my thing is, white privilege means you have the privilege to be willfully ignorant. Black people cannot afford to be willfully ignorant in a system that does not benefit them or benefit us. We cannot afford to be willfully ignorant. White privilege allow you to be willfully ignorant because they are the racists and control the system. So they don't need to know. Like when people say, well, the president don't know about, why should the president care about black history? Black history is our country's history, but why should they care about you? We don't take the time to teach that to your children. And you want white folks, educators, to be responsible for your reality. White folks' imaginations are too limited to understand or understand the greatness of black people. Because they have benefited from it. We raised them. Our women have given up breast milk to the white children. Women talking about protect black women. He can't protect black women. Don't raise black men. Don't raise black men. Like, if you applauding Kid Cudi in a dress, you the problem. That's really, and for me, it's not, I don't have, it don't, whatever, it's distraction, but I'm saying, like, oh my God, black girl magic is destroying America. It's not working. This ain't gonna work because basically you're raising generations of single women. And you raising generations to hate men. This is ridiculous. But anyway, I need to stop talking. I was talking about jazz when I'm talking about Fort Pillow. I'm talking about some other stuff. Yeah, that's why we can't get nowhere. Now it's to me, yeah, it's cussing passing. What you said right there, that's the definition of insanity. Not, people say, well, definition of insanity. People such as Mockingbird. Well, the definition of insanity is repeating the same thing and expect a different response. No, that's discipline. That's practice. That's practice. They got you thinking that practice is bad. I know. I love Allen Iverson. They got you thinking that practice is bad. Repetition is bad. That's how you learn, through repetition, through practice. That's the definition of insanity, to think that that's insane to me. Yeah, but you broke up the black. We were stronger when we was together. Like when we was having our movements back in the 60s, you had more intact black families than you do now. See, they broke us. They say you can't discipline your children, we'll put you in prison. You can't get government benefits if the man in the home. See, we allow these devils to destroy our unity. Even when we had slavery, we still knew the importance of family and extended family. One of the first things that black folks did after the end of the Civil War is what? They went to find family members. That's why family reunions are so important to the black culture. It used to be. It's different now. Yeah, and twerking, it don't have to be a bad thing, but if that's the only thing that's important, like if being a TikTok star is the most important thing, or Instagram model, if that's the most important thing in your life, then your priorities are screwed. That's why it's important for all of us to have our own moral compass and individual, bylaws, because we as individual entities are corporations, and we need to have bylaws and your moral compass, and that's on you. You are only responsible for saving yourself. People say, well, I got to save my children. I mean, if you work on yourself, just do right by yourself, and everything should fall in place. Practice on yourself how to be good, kind, forgiving, compassionate, patient, loving, all that stuff. Do that for you first before you do that for anybody else, or even think about bringing somebody else into this paradigm. Yeah, it's very much different now. I mean, even 20-something years ago, I had hope. I was in college, I thought I was going to meet somebody in college and get married. And I had, some people I was interested in. It's 20-something years later, I said, man, I don't know, man. Let me just have my peace of mind. Forget all about having a piece of ass right now. Let's just have peace of mind. Because it's not even worth it, because these people kind of scatterbrain. I'm in the age group now where the people I went to school with, they got grandkids now. I'm like, damn, weird. I feel weird, out of place. I even look at the younger people. I'm like, man, I don't know, man. It's like, damn. It's like, maybe I get Ron Isley A's and grow a beard. Oh, he's so sexy. I just hope everything works right. Damn, I've been waiting for so long. I'm so tired of being alone. I'm so tired. Al Green birthday tomorrow. We're going to talk about Al Green. Oh, my God. He was born April 13th, 1946 in Forest City, Arkansas. So, man, I've been on here for 3 hours. I hope y'all learned something about Fort Pillow, because I've been scatterbrained like I've been talking about jazz. I'm talking about this and that. It's good morning where you at, huh? Thank you so much, man. And I think y'all, I guess the trolls don't want to play on no more. I'm going to make sure I have y'all on standby. Some of y'all good people that's been supporting. Thank y'all, because I do the show because y'all, encourage me to keep on keeping on. But let me just close this out. Play a song, because black folk, we love to entertain while we educate. Oh, yeah, let me show something right quick before I do that. Because I want to get out of here while it's still Tuesday. Yeah. So, we keep on bringing up Abraham Lincoln and stuff. And, these white folks talking about, well, Congress said there was no massacre. Well, let me just read something right quick. I got to highlight it. These are the words of Abraham Lincoln. See, Abraham Lincoln sent a congressional inquiry, a congressional group down to, that area to interview survivors and participants in what is now known as the Fort Pillow Massacre. And this is what he said in his own words on May 3rd, 1864. I'm going to read it. I got to highlight it. On May 3rd, President Lincoln sent a memo to his cabinet. It is now quite certain that a large number of our colored soldiers with their officers were by the rebel force massacred after they had surrendered. He said massacred at the recent capture of Fort Pillow. So much is known, though the evidence is not yet quite ready to be laid before me. Meanwhile, I will thank you to prepare and give me in writing your opinion as to what course the government should take in the case. So this is Abraham Lincoln, like a month almost later, acknowledging that there was a massacre, that it happened. And I'm going to tell you what course that was taken, not by him per se, but the battle cry, remember Fort Pillow, because like one of the first battle cries was, John Brown's body is a muttering in the grave. The Battle Hymn of the Republic, John's Brown body kind of incorporated the Battle Hymn of the Republic. Glory, glory, hallelujah. So the battle cry of the U.S. colored troops came, remember Fort Pillow. That was the battle cry. And the reason why the Union was able to win was because of the U.S. colored troops. You had almost 200,000 black soldiers that helped turn the tide of the war, because the Confederates were winning at first before the U.S. colored troops got involved. Now, they talked about the white folks. Nathan Bedford Forrest had his black berets or green berets. I'm trying to find evidence of that, but there were black Confederates. Matter of fact, there were black Confederates at the first battle of the Civil War, the Battle of Manassas, Bulls Run up in Virginia. You know, the only state, I mean, the only state that had more Civil War battles than Tennessee. Tennessee was the last state to lead the Union in the first return. The only state that had more battles from the Civil War than Tennessee was Virginia, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And y'all can, you know, call me out because I'm a black man. Y'all can look it up. I don't care. I'm not gonna look it up right now. I'm trying to close it out. But Frederick Douglass even said that he saw Confederate black troops at the Battle of Bull Run. That's the Frederick Douglass. So they were black Confederates. I don't know if some of them willingly fought. Now, some of them, you had black folks that owned slaves, like the lady said, one of the biggest slave owners in South Carolina was a black man. This is true. Also, I don't think it was a black furniture maker named Thomas Day from North Carolina. He owned slaves. But he was his furniture is amazing. It's a collector items. They're worth a lot of money. I believe his name was Thomas Day from North Carolina. Y'all can look him up. Let me just see if I'm saying him right. Hey, furniture. The power of the Thomas Day from North Carolina. He died actually the first year of the Civil War, 1861. Born 1801, died 1861. But he was a furniture maker, a very well-known, famous furniture maker from North Carolina. But he owned slaves. I don't know how well he treated his slaves and whatnot. Thank y'all for listening. That's what I said. Yeah, peace of mind, like peace, not a peace, but I got you what you're saying, because some of this, it ain't worth it, man. It's a headache, because like, you gotta imagine, you see the stuff I talk about on my channel, right? Ain't a lot of sisters, and I'm be honest with you, I know how this will sound. Maybe I'm tight kids, and I don't know too many women in Memphis that really dig this type of stuff that I dig like this. Some of black women, and they well educated. You got some well educated, successful financially sisters out here, but a lot of them don't dig this stuff I'm digging. As far as I'm encountering, they don't dig it. Maybe I'm the wrong person, giving it out or whatever. But man, that's why I say I gotta love for me. I gotta love me. I gotta be me. I gotta love me. I'm not gonna be nothing. Play games. You get a certain age, it get tiresome to deal with this type of stuff, because people it's like. Everybody crazy. Everybody, it's like crazy is like autism. It's on the spectrum. Just people, I just like, what the hell? This ain't worth it, man. This ain't worth it. You look like you okay, but something's wrong. We try, but I'm saying it's men and women, but yeah, it's crazy out here. And let me just play this, close this out. Like I said, I had more videos, but y'all go on We All Be archives to look at this stuff. Let me see. I'm trying to find. Okay, it's from Jackie Murray. Remember for a pillow. My friend and We All Be, the great, talented sister Jackie Murray, who's actually the 2020 Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Homecoming Court princess. We're going to be doing a great concert on June 6th this year to honor the 2020 recipients of the Jimmy Lunsford Jamboree Homecoming Court. Probably going to live stream it on Jimmy Lunsford's birthday, because I refuse for 2020 to cancel me. Or I guess I survived 2020, as in hindsight is 2020. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Anyway, let's enjoy this wonderful song from Sister Jackie Murray. And this is We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century. We all be News Free Dixie for the 21st century.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as our Father, brothers all are we. Let me walk with my brother in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every breath I take, let this be my solemn vow to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Oh, let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let it begin with me.
Let there be peace. And that does it for this edition of We All Be News Free Dixie for the 21st century, as we honor the righteous ancestors of and we remember Fort Pillow. Never forget and say thank you, Sister Duckworth. We love you madly. Thank you for your support. And thank y'all for being patient. I know it's been 3 hours. Jesus. I just can't do short shows anymore. I tried. Lord knows I wanted to get to 2 hours. Haven't eaten anything in a minute, but it is what it is. But thank you, that's a good thing. You want to support the movement? Feel free, cash out, $R2C2H2. To buy art of his art, R2C2H2.com. You can even wear it. You know, it's my Lady Day, Lady in the Press. Salute to Billie Holiday and Lester Young. Go down description box if you're on YouTube. Access that shelf to our Teespring site, R2C2H2's place. Google Pay, PayPal, Zelle your support, R2C2H2@gmail.com, Vimo at R2C2H2. Thank y'all so much. Yes, you all be well as well. And we're going to, like I said, I got a lot of shows coming up. I don't know what's wrong with me. I'm the marathon man, but know that in the words of Duke Ellington, we love y'all madly. Y'all keep on producing and pushing and be safe out there, but be yourself, think for self, and do for self. And we thank you, Sister Monique. Love you madly. Fiscal Mind, truly enjoyed you too, my brother. Thank you so much for everybody who's been supporting. And on to the next. One love. Night, night.